Hello.
Hey girl, hey.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
I think we just gonna keep it muted until Kia jump in here. She should be ready in a sec.
Um,
Can y'all hear me?
Yes. You finally got in
Hey
here.
y'all. Yes, girl. Okay. So Tatiana, child, I've been waiting to get what I have to say off since last I have been waiting. And
oh, but hold on. Let's wait for Kia because we
okay.
have an order of things here, so let's just wait for Kia to join, and we'll definitely get your say so in.
Yeah. I was gonna wait till she came in because I see she's not in here. But yeah, I just wanted to voice that. Yeah, we here.
I'm glad you finally got in here.
Oh, she sounds she got a lot to get off. Oh my
Right.
gosh, somebody, where is the ether button? Hold on.
I'm dead. Oh, so you feel it. You feel it. You feel it. Cause like it was towards the end of the conversation where my commentary was gonna come in, but y'all had to rap at that point. So yeah.
All right, there you go. We got Kia. Kia.
Can y'all hear
Yeah,
me?
we can hear you. I think I sent
Oh,
you the
okay.
invite and you requested at the same time.
Okay, because this should be acting mad glitchy. I'm like, what the hell be going on? Whew. I was like running trying to get here in time. Like, oh my God. Like, I felt it was like the worst time in like, oh shit, right now.
Wait, is this still playing music or did it music stop? Because I had hit music.
Music is playing?
I hope not. I can't tell if I'm playing. I can't tell if it is.
Wait, Jan, can you
I
hear
can
me?
hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
hear
All
you.
right.
I don't know if I
If you
think
don't
I
hear no
did.
music, there's no music playing.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Like for the introduction, like when
Yeah, when
people
we was
first come
muted, I was
in.
trying to
Oh,
press
okay.
music, but I don't think it was doing anything.
All right, y'all, give me a second because literally the girls were ready. And I just want to make sure, because mad people was like, hit like, yo, make sure you send me the link. I got you, my boy. Um, okay. Whenever y'all ready to jump right in.
Yeah.
Wait, is Jazz here?
Jazz is not yet. Um,
Okay.
I think we can start without Jazz. Yeah,
Okay.
because she just be
Yeah.
popping in.
All right, bet. Sound good. Sound good. What it do? What it is? What's up? Welcome to the condo. It's your gracious. I sound like Joe, but it's your gracious, humble guest. Uh, we got Big Yon in the building. I gotta find a nickname for you because you know how he used to give them nicknames. I gotta find like a like like something to go with like Yon.
I don't want it to be big.
Nah,
Not
we
big
gotta
y'all.
no, we gotta find something
I
witty
hate
because you know
big.
like it used
Yon
to
the
be Alex
Don.
Yon the Don. There we go. Okay, yeah, there we go. We
Bye.
got Yon the Don in the building. We got Milan, Paris, Italy in the building.
Nah. You can
Ooh.
call me Big Milan because I'm
Oh, you
five
want Big Milan?
three.
See now everybody like now it's like no, I need Big Milan. Okay, we got
I'm
Big
I'm
Milan
five
in the
three, so I don't
building.
mind. I don't mind.
You 5'3"?
When I
Yeah.
first met
No, you
Milan,
are
I was
not.
like, wow, bitch, I thought you was tall.
Milan, I'm 5'3". Ain't no way. No, you look so
No,
much taller, bro.
no, it's the big dick energy. Yeah. Yeah.
No, because you know that video clip. Who video? I forgot who video that was when you was on the back of the motorcycle with a bike.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Sorry, I had to sneeze.
Nah, you good. You look mad tall. Like you look taller than a nigga.
Everyone don't always say that. They always say they think I'm taller, and then they make me like, "Oh my god, you're so short." Like, yeah, bitch,
Oh my God, not we height twins.
I am.
Yeah, both of y'all are taller
She's
than me.
5'3". Okay, go ahead.
I agree. And then you got me, Kia.
And then you
Kia
got me.
Sinatra, Kia Cilantro. You got me
What?
in the building. Ain't that a car, a Kia Cilantro?
Oh, Hyundai? A Hyundai Sonata?
Oh, I think it's a Hyundai.
Oh.
Yeah. Wait, we
All
gotta figure
righty
out what the
then.
Kia
Hello.
car is, cause that's crazy.
All righty then. No, you said it's a
That's a Hyundai.
that's a hot day, my boy. Like, what's the difference between a 3.6 and a 4?
I'm sorry.
Okay, no, we really come on here to crack jokes at first because today, all right, this is me being dead ass. All right, I'm dead ass retarded.
Ooh.
Like,
I wish we had a flex bomb. I'm not
I
gonna hold
know,
you.
right? I'm like, this weekend really reaffirmed my love for a craft that I thought stopped loving me. And so
Mm.
I got a lot of thoughts. I know I have friends who are going to be joining us shortly who have a lot of thoughts. And yeah, I take what we do serious. I take our platform serious. Um, Reasonable dialogue is something the three of us built because we saw a need for some type of clarity within our industry, not just journalism, but just within our industry. So I'm not taking shit lightly today. But with that being said, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Welcome to the apartment. Just had to set some rules from the door. But yeah, everybody, welcome to the apartment. It's Yon the Don, Kia, and Big Milan.
And Kia pending the car
In
type.
parentheses, pending car connection. But it's us. We here. Hey sisters, how y'all doing?
Blessed, highly
I'm not
favored.
gonna.
You know,
On tour, on
feeling
tour, on tour.
feeling like a stuffed chicken. Has some good
A chicken.
Vietnamese food, so I'm feeling very very full. How about y'all?
This is a rough week for me. I'm not gonna
Oh,
hold you,
friend.
but yeah, it was super rough. I have a slip disc, so it's been rough trying to like move around and do shit. Um, but I did go see Stevie Wonder this weekend. That was
Oh
incredible.
yes, how
So
was that experience to see the goat?
it was just like it's crazy when you're in the moment doing things that are like literally lifetime bucket list things, and in the moment it doesn't you don't even realize it's a bucket list. It's just like, holy shit, this is something I always wanted to do my entire life. Um but then after the fact, you watching all the videos and it's like, yo, I just seen this nigga live. Like, this is really crazy.
Like the Stevie
But
Wonder.
it
That's
was
crazy.
just so career affirming because it's like he's in his 70s. He might be his age. I don't want to get that wrong, but just to hear somebody at that age still be at the top of their game, like the vocals was there, the stage setup was incredible, the band was amazing. Like just everything that we've been talking about over the last couple years about what performances have been lacking. It's just like for him to pop out and just be like, "Yeah, I'm doing all of that still," and sound good. Is just like, holy shit, man, this is legendary. Shout out to Stevie Wonder for real.
Nah, for real. Shout out Big Stevie. I have nothing but respect for geniuses in music, but I feel like Stevie's is just on a
Mm,
level of like there's no level of comprehension to just how he's written his songs, how he's produced his songs. I don't think a lot of people know. Like before Taylor Swift, he was the one that was like on a back to back like Grammy album of the year winning streak. Stevie is the blueprint. Like everybody has taken from Stevie. Like I kind of have this theory in my
facts.
head that like Michael Jackson started off his solo career finding it through Stevie, but that's like another theory for another day. Um, but yeah, I just think that like it's an honor to be able to see those type of legends. Like my friend Maya's in the room. Maya's an R&B reporter at Vibe magazine, and Maya was able to meet and see Frankie Beverly. I think this year, like before he passed away.
Oh,
Um, and it's
congratulations.
moments
So
like
dope.
that you don't realize how valuable they are. Um, so I'm glad you got this.
Exactly, and that's why when I saw them tickets go live, I was just like, "Yo, this is literally once in a lifetime." And I know he's done shows in the past. I just haven't been able to go see them, and I just knew like if I didn't get to go this time around, we can't guarantee that I would have been able to go another time. So I'm just so glad
I love
that
that.
he is still touring. Like that is
What did
amazing.
Janet
Shout out
say?
to
No,
God.
you don't know what you got till it's gone. You don't know what you got till it's gone, y'all. Y'all don't know. Oh my gosh. Because listen, we're not even gonna call it. He gonna be around for another few years. But the man Stevie has been such a legendary act and a class act. Like I don't even think we've even heard anything from Stevie as far as like any negativity. It's just always been centered around the music. And I feel like that's what you call a class act. Okay.
And the last thing I'm gonna add, actually, I'm glad you said that because another thing, I think it's so important to go to these type of shows or watch documentaries. Because one thing that I had no idea with Stevie in particular, I didn't know he was so funny. Like he was cracking so many jokes the entire show, and it was just like, yo, like he's mad funny. And you don't never really get a chance to personify a lot of these artists if you weren't around for them. Like for example, like, I couldn't tell you what a Tina Marie personality was like for real. Like I didn't really get to experience her in that way. I just know how amazing her music was. So I'm just also grateful for that, just to be able to have seen his personality in real time to see what kind of person he is. Because in between every song he was telling stories about the past, and like just like this song came because I like this girl and I found out that she was cheating on somebody else, and so I had to take her name out, but that's how we got this. And it's just like you would never know this type of stuff. Um but yeah, set out to say if the legends are touring, make sure y'all get tickets because these are like once in a lifetime experiences and you will never regret spending money on that.
I will say there's a common
Fact.
theme though. These niggas, no matter what, deaf, blind, don't matter. These niggas gonna cheat. Wow. Wow. So crazy.
I
Great
mean, I
thoughts.
ain't gonna
Stevie,
hold you.
goddamn.
Stevie was
Whoa.
on a run. I would have cheated
Oh,
with Stevie too. He was on a run. Stevie
goddamn.
Wonder walk up in the club like he might, and you never know because he blind. He probably
Feeling
got
them
better game.
wrists.
But
Oh
he
my
right, that's what
God.
I'm saying. He probably got better game than the niggas that can
I
see.
know. I know
He
you a
probably
bad
spitting.
bitch. I felt that wrist.
And high
That
key,
wrist.
when he was
Ooh.
younger, he was kind of
He was.
fine.
That's what I'm
So he definitely
saying. He
got
had the
that.
swag. Y'all
Yeah.
seen the suit of him with the silver on. I think that was either at the Grammys or the American Music Awards. He had like the silver on with the beads on the head. Like, come on, don't play Stevie. Don't play
Come
Stevie.
on, Stevie. You made me want
Big
to get bees in my
Stevie.
hair. Big Stevie, not the little. Chill
Never
out,
the
chill
little
out.
one.
Pipe them down, Stevie. Calm down, Stevie. Calm down, Stevie. You hurting him out here. Calm down.
Hey, we really talking like unks. I'm screaming. But no, Jan, you definitely got an amazing experience. I'm so glad that you were able to go and able to see Stevie. And yeah, if you're able, I'm not sure how soon his tour is wrapping up, but if you are able to go see Stevie or just any of the legends, like, um, yeah, I encourage you to go see them because it really is like a once in a lifetime experience to just be able to say you've seen them, you've experienced that. Like I'm so jealous of my mom. She got to see Michael Jackson on the Victory tour and on the Bad tour. I'm like, yo,
Oh
this isn't
wow.
fair. Like if you want to fight, just say
That's
that. Like we can go outside and we can do
crazy.
that.
No, you're absolutely right. Especially since we still have some of these legendary acts still existing. You know what I mean? With everyone literally like dying, it's important for us to still support them. And I really believe like even with Frankie Beverly, it's like the fact that he was literally doing what he loved up until the very moment. Even Fat Man Scoop, I think about that a lot too. Like, as tragic as it is, the silver lining in that is you literally are dying doing what you love. And I think that is a testament to life. Like, life is worth living, especially when you're doing what you love. So when that moment does come, it's like, all right, I did everything I wanted to do. I impact the world and people the way how I needed to. And I literally left doing what I was born here to do. I think that is just a beautiful omen, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree. The Fat Man Scoop thing was crazy because it's like while I don't want to see a video of someone literally dying on stage, it also is just like, wow, that's really crazy. Like that man died doing what he loved. Like, and I think about a lot of like artists who have died in the process of doing what they love, or just yeah, we lost a lot of people this year, guys. Like now that I really think about it, like we lost a lot of legends. John Amos, Frankie Beverly, Tito Jackson, Rico Wade, Rich Homie Quan, Beat King, Fat Man Scoop, James Earl Jones, Shannon Doherty. I think that's how you pronounce her name. But if you don't know her, she's from Charm. I think she was on 90210. I think. Um, OJ Simpson. OJ Simpson.
You are
Huh?
so silly.
That's sad. That's
No, that's
sad.
sad. That's sad we lost OJ, bro. OJ Simpson, Mr. C. Oh, Mr.
Ah,
C did pass away this
I
year.
don't have no
Oh my
kin to
god.
OJ, so I wasn't that sad. I'm gonna be real with y'all, but go ahead.
Well, I ain't had no kid though. OJ, yeah, OJ. That was just sad in general because I think if you've ever watched any of the documentaries about OJ, there's two of them that are really amazing. There's one Made in America, and then there's another one. I can't remember the name of it. And then of course I love the People versus OJ. That's probably the best thing Ryan White. I mean Ryan White. Oh my God, I'm talking about Ryan Murphy has been a part of. Um, yeah, that was amazing. But yeah, I think it's just yeah, that was sad. Totally forgot about Mr. C, but definitely a legend. Um, I'm
Definitely R.I.P.
I'm
Mr.
not even gonna
C.
act like I know how to uh pronounce this NBA player's name, but I know he was a legend because
Matumbo.
yes, the NBA fans were going through it. So my condolences to y'all for sure.
Yes. Our
Um,
only, of course, former, player here. Of course, the legendary No Finger. No, no, no.
what do you mean no thing? You gotta explain that to me, sis.
Okay, so basically, he used to do this thing with his finger, like he would like wave his finger, no, 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 like when he would block a shot. So every time he'll block a shot, he'll like put his finger up to like be like, no, no, no. I'll send you the link, sis. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about
All
it.
right, thank you, thank you. You gotta keep me updated. I am definitely
I
not
got
the
you.
girl that's gonna sit there and pretend like I know what's going on. I'm the one that's like LeBron James,
Did he kick the field
Kobe,
goal? Okay.
Michael Jordan. I know like the stars. Maggie Smith, a EGOT winner. I always have respect for an EGOT winner because for you to become an EGOT winner, that means you have mastered four of the top fields of entertainment. And to me, that's chef kiss. But a lot of people know her from Harry Potter. She was also in Sister Act. Um, I mentioned Tito Jackson earlier. Michaela DePrince, she's a ballerina. If you don't know her, she was in Beyonce's Lemonade short film. DJ Polo from the Juice Crew, the rapper Enchanting. That was a really sad passing. I
Yeah,
hate when
that was
we
really
I
sad.
hate when we lose the young folks in hip hop, especially it just yeah that breaks my heart. Um, Chuck Roberts of the Voice of House.
Yes, yes. If you love house music, you know the originators of house music, which is black people.
Yes.
Then yes, definitely one of the legendary ones that passed away.
See, I love you guys. Eric Mays. Damn, Eric Mays did pass away. If you don't
Yes,
know who Eric
Uncle
Mays is,
Mays.
yes. If you don't know who Eric Mays is, he was like TikTok famous, but he was a councilman in Detroit, Chicago, one of those two. I have to look it up where he was actually a councilman at, but he was hilarious. Like the things that he would say in the meetings, it's like how are you allowed to be this unprofessional in a professional setting? But yeah, he
But he
passed
was
away.
tearing people up though with the truth because
When she
everything
said
he
you
said
are
was
not being
truthful.
she was like, you're not being very germane. He was like, no, I'm not gonna be Michael, Tito, Jack, like none of them. Like I was like, yo, he is bugged out, bro. And then today it was announced that Wanda Smith, a very well known comedian in Atlanta, um, very well known outside of that for that iconic moment between her and Cat Williams. She passed away, so much condolences to her peers and her friends and family. Um, and yeah, so we've lost a lot of people this year, guys. I feel like every year though, it's always like I don't know, it's always hard, right? Because it's like we focus on the good of the year, not keeping in mind that like, damn, you never know, you might wake up and like a legend is just gone. Like that's scary to think about. That like you really don't know what the next day holds.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I feel like for me, it's been a heavy occurrence though over the last like 2 or 3 years, and maybe I don't know. Maybe it's because we're so heavily on social media, so we're seeing it all the time now. But I don't know. I just feel like personally, I'm seeing a lot more death recently than I have, like I would say, post pandemic.
Yeah, I would say that, but I'm gonna be by any means necessary. This is, not me being offensive, but I really feel like, if somebody reaches that beautiful threshold of like 80, 90, and you kick the can, you lived a very well life. That's just my opinion. Like, you really lived a life that was just like, whoa, compared to people dying at like 30 and 20 and not doing nothing with their life. Like, when you have a legend that's like, okay, you were like 70 in the 80s. Damn, you lived a really long life and you did your thing here while you lived that life, especially being black. Like, let's be honest, especially with racism, all that other shit that happens in life. Like, you making it to 80 and still being successful. Man, that's fire. I personally, you could kick the can at 85, God, for me. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm not even trying to go past that. But I think that's a beautiful life to live. To do everything that you want to do and make it to that age, to the point where you could just tell people off because you old and you could blame it on your old age. Like, that's fire. I see why what's his name? Remember he came out with the story and he was just saying just a whole bunch of Quincy
Oh, when Quincy
Jones.
Jones was,
Yes.
he said the
Yes.
Beatles were fucking each other, and Michael stole songs from Donna Summer.
You
I was
live
just
you
like,
live
what?
long enough to really start telling the truth, and that's a bar. Hello.
We don't know what happened with Quincy, but we know Kadada and Rashida, all of them just put him in the house and said, "You gonna sit here with your Grammys and not come outside."
That's it. House arrest.
Well, speaking of Quincy, and speaking of dead celebrities, this is my favorite dead celebrity because this is my favorite artist of all time. But Michael Jackson. Um, this year I'm gonna need y'all to hashtag stop making Michael Jackson comparisons because I let y'all slide for a couple years because I could see everybody. One thing about like us, when we lose such a powerful figure like a Prince or a Michael or a Whitney or a James or whoever, right? James Brown, Rick James, whoever you want to put the James on. When we lose icons like that, we do kind of go through this period where we're searching for what's new. I remember when Amy Winehouse died, everybody immediately just ran over to Adele, like, oh, okay, well, we just rallying behind you now. It's natural that when we lose our legends, we're constantly looking for who's next, what's new, X, Y, and Z. But in 2024, for us to still be having debates about, oh no, this person is our Michael Jackson, or no, this person is close to Michael Jackson. Why? I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I do want those comparisons to completely stop because at this point,
I think we
you're
should leave our
invalid
legends as are.
and
Yeah,
you're invalidating the artists that are doing their own thing. Like, let Chris do his thing. Let Usher do his thing. Let Beyonce do her thing. Like, why are we invalidating them and their status and their accomplishments and minimum? Like, then it causes unnecessary rifts, and it's just to me it's unnecessary. Like they act
I
like
agree.
2, 3, 4 bad bitches can't exist. Like I don't.
Because we
That's
seen the debacle with the whole Michael Jackson and Chris Brown comparison, and we saw how people lost their blood clot minds defending that point or even trying to make that comparison. So I would say lobotomies for free for Christmas for a lot of people because y'all lost your motherfucking minds, and let's not have it no more. Let's just not have it no more. We don't need it. We don't need it. Like you said, everybody's in their own lane. I think because people really want some type of like bar or standard, I think that's where the comparisons probably come in a little bit more. Let me know if y'all can hear me correctly because I have my headphones in. But I think because it's like, okay, Michael Jackson, quote unquote, sets the bar and the standard for what it is to be an entertainer, just in a way where now those that are after him, you kind of want to compare them like, okay, if you're not at this level of a Michael Jackson, you're not, I guess, good of an artist or whatever the case may be. But I do agree that we have to let artists be artists and define their own bars, because even a conversation of Michael Jackson versus, not even versus, but comparing to Beyonce, and as somebody who is, very, very much so a big, big beehiver, I'm not going to lie, there's nobody seeing Michael Jackson's stardom. I really don't think people understand the stardom that Michael Jackson himself possessed. Like, y'all niggas are not standing there for 10 minutes straight and having people still scream till the veins pop out their neck. I'm talking like nigga had several hospitals on speed dial because people were passing out at his shows just by the smell of him. Not even, he didn't even have to touch the stage, just by the smell of him. And I'm gonna be real, American success
does not compare to international success. I know us as Americans, we really believe we the big fish and everything, but the reality is the international world is way bigger, of course, than America. So when you have that American and global success, listen, you can't even he couldn't even disguise himself if he wanted to. That's how crazy his stardom is. And not to mention talent and all of that extra stuff that definitely adds to the plate of Michael Jackson. But I don't think there's no one to really compare. Like, nah, we not comparing Michael to nobody. We gonna keep Michael versus Michael.
I will say too, to your point, that's when I brought up the Stevie thing. I think that's also why it's so important that we go to these shows if we can, because it provides this layer of context about the type of impact that these artists have on their audiences, the type of music, the type of production, the performance, all of that. That can really give you an understanding like what y'all really need to stop comparing these talents to what we have today and just allow today's artists to grow into their own legacies because they're not comparable. Like we're talking about two very different time periods and two different standards for artistry. So to compare them is doing a disservice to everybody. You're doing a disservice to the artists you're comparing them to because they don't compare, frankly. And then you're doing a disservice to the artist that's coming up because you're not giving them a chance to grow into their own person. Essentially, it's like there's always this like, well, you have to do XYZ like this artist because that's who you're being compared to. So we really got to get away from that altogether.
I don't, I don't typically agree with that. I think when I think we got to let people be compared because I think one that's the stand that's how you see the standard, right? You're like, okay, this person did this. If Michael did this, then I know when I come out the gate, I got to do this, right? And what else it does is for the next generation who is not able to maybe appreciate what Michael did because they weren't there, they're able to now measure how great their artist is. And lastly, I don't think any of these artists or these legends would want to exist in like this glass and capsule. Like, oh, I can't be touched. I think they want to see people push the mark forward. I want to, and maybe even one day be surpassed. So I think competition and being able to be compared to these legends, obviously within reason. I think it keeps a healthy level of competition and inspiration.
I think for me, what I see a lot of though, which is why I would disagree for the most part, is it's never within reason. These comparisons are made, and it's like, where are you getting Michael Jackson comparisons from that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my only.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry, Mouse, but that's my only issue too. Cause like I wasn't mad at the Beyonce Michael Jackson comparisons, cause I get it in a sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It
to a certain
matches up in
degree.
my head. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when y'all saying I ain't gonna hold you, I don't care who. And when y'all start saying Chris Brown, I'm like, oh, all right, like I see what type of time we on right now.
Talking about because he could do a backflip. If you
Like
don't, ooh, you pissing me off.
I think we got to
I
be a
have a
little. Oh, go ahead. Who am I?
my bad, love. I was just gonna say, one, I think this conversation is fruitful and helpful, but it also made me want to ask you guys, how do you feel about artists like Nipsey, you know, being brought up in terms of comparison and our legacy? Because I personally think someone like even Nipsey Hussle, even though, like him and Michael Jackson, it was, different eras, I do believe his impact was so grand and so unique that, like, we'll never, I don't think we'll ever see something like that again. And, there's been a comparison between like Nipsey and Tupac, etc. But I really wanted to, know y'all opinions and thoughts on, someone like Nipsey or artists of that stature and character being brought up
I'm
when it
sorry.
comes to comparison.
It's just the Nipsey and Michael in the same
yeah, I was
sentence for
gonna
me.
ask about that. Like, who the hell made
who
that come?
who
Stephen
brought the
Michael and
purple
Mouse, we
potato
gonna get
salad? That's what
yeah,
that shit is.
Stephen Michael and Mouse, we gonna get right back to y'all. We just wanna but who like
Who said that?
I would say Nipsey and Pac makes a lot of sense in my head. That comparison
I
makes
agree with
so
that.
much sense. Michael Joseph Jackson. This is what I mean when I say internet fodder doesn't translate in real life. Cause who You know what? I'm gonna pass. Y'all, Milan, y'all got anything to say before you pass it to Stephen, Michael, and Mouse?
No, Stephen, Mouse, Joseph, Jermaine, Tito, somebody answer because I can't.
Yeah, that's a little bugged out. It's like
Mouse,
that's a little
Mouse, chill.
bugged out, son.
Mouse, chill.
I didn't know what to say. That was just out. I was like, oh, I see what they got going on over here. That's new. I never heard that, but also like if like all jokes aside, I also think somebody had just said internet fodder doesn't really translate. I think that happens on both sides. I think sometimes
Kia.
messages Kia said I think sometimes messages get lost in translation. So I think Nipsey's posthumous impact might maybe being comparative to Michael Jackson's overall impact. Maybe I'm reaching for the fences here, but I think I can see where someone might get that misconstrued. But like artistry and real time impact, no, there's no. I mean, even if I'm being honest, and I'm not, I'm notoriously not a Pac fan, but I don't even really see the Pac Nipsey correlations. Just outside of they're both rappers West Coast that died, I don't really see that comparison. So
Could it be because of their well, was Nipsey really an activist in a way?
well, when Nipsey was alive, he was an actual activist. Like,
So maybe I personally that's where I would see the comparison if
But to
anybody was to
Mouse's
say that.
point, they also have lyrically different approaches. Well, did have lyrically different approaches. Like Nipsey was more about getting on your grind. Like a lot of his stuff, it could be from like 2013, for instance, but it's still kind of like Nipsey's lyrical content was different than Pac's.
hmm yeah,
I think yes, I agree to that. But as far as if we're just talking about what they stood on, as far as character wise, I think that's where the
Yeah.
comparison would
Hmm.
lie.
I could see that.
I still don't see it because one person, you know what? Let's not out that room. Okay, I see it.
No,
Yo,
Mouse.
so
You
no,
can
No,
no,
because
no,
go ahead.
Say what you gotta
I don't want
Mouse
to
is
say.
not
turn
like that.
I don't
Mouse is
want to
not like
turn
that.
I don't want to turn y'all room into that. So I'm just saying, like, I don't me personally, I don't see that. I think I've always said I think, and a lot of people. I'm not the only person that said I think Tupac never stopped playing the bishop role. And Nipsey, we seen in real time, and since his death, we've seen Nipsey was exactly who he was that we witnessed in real time. He really was, he might have cemented himself as a as a rolling 60 or for lack of a better term a gangbanger, but that didn't really represent who he was, right? He was still someone who was very much about the community. Even in his death, right, there was things that were laid, foundation that was laid for the community and for the marathon store and Black Sam and anyone connected with All Money In to like really make an impact in that community. I didn't see that with Pac. I seen a lot of rhetoric that kind of got lost once he found success doing quote unquote gangster rap. So that's why I say I don't really see them standing on the same thing.
Okay, I think I get what Mouse is trying, like where you're going with this. This is
Yeah, I was gonna say I can actually
yeah,
agree
because
with
Yeah.
that,
I
but
think you
I guess what I'm just saying is I can see why people would draw
yeah,
the
because for
connection.
you, I think
That would
Pac
Right.
is
be
more of
Mhm.
like a
yeah.
figurehead, like, hey, I'm speaking on the problems, but X, Y, and Z. Whereas Nipsey was like, I'm going to the problem, I'm fixing the problem. This is actually what I'm doing.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
yeah,
sense.
Yeah.
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 See, Mouse,
Like
this
Michael,
both
is the
sides of the
space for
round.
this. You could talk to us, Mal.
Right. Don't do that.
what Michael, cuz you had the shock face and your hand up. What you would like to say?
Yeah, I actually was over here crying because, like, well, first of all, I think like Nipsey pot comparison is like a really nasty word. But I think it's just, I mean, just simply, I just think it's a very, very nasty word. I don't know, like, if that's what the Young Bulls is on, whatever, but like, pot I don't even know where to be honest, but like Tupac, like lyrically was like above like even your favorite rapper. Like he's up there with like Bob Dylan as far as like songwriting. And a lot of people say, "Oh, Pac is not the same rapper that Jay Z, Biggie is, etc." But I mean, this guy was like writing this like as like actual poetry, like songs like "Dear Mama." You could read them in a book, and this is like wow, but this is powerful poetry. Whereas by comparison, and mind you, I love Nipsey, and I had this conversation with someone close to me recently. They're like, "Bro, Nipsey doesn't do double entendres. He is not the best technical rapper." And it's like, okay, cool, whatever, bro. But that's not why we're listening to this music. Like, listen to what he's talking about. Like, listen to the production value. like the replayability and all that. But I think, but going back to the overall point about like the comparisons across generations and stuff, I think everybody now wants to feel like they have the need to say that I experienced something because there's no more monoculture. And when I say there's no more monoculture, I mean there's no more like defining moments in our era, in our times. Like you could talk to somebody's uncle or their grandma, whoever, and they'll be like, I remember I saw that football game where Michael Jackson just stood on TV for like 20 minutes straight, however long it was, when he performed at the Super Bowl. And he was just standing there. I think, well, how long was it, like 10 minutes, something like that? Maybe not 10 minutes, but it was literally in real time. It was like 7 minutes. He's just standing there, and people are losing their minds. People are bugging out, and this is on TV. Like, people's family could talk about, elders could talk about when Remember the Time video came out and how they had like a primetime slot for a new video to come out on regular television. Like you didn't even need to have cable to see that. It was like on Fox. And everybody was like, yo, make sure you watch it at 8 o'clock, all right? We're gonna see the new Remember the Time video. And it's like everything felt like an event. Like Eddie Murphy's in that video, Magic Johnson, Iman. You feel me? And so I said to say to you, like, nowadays we really don't have those kind of moments anymore. We try to recreate them with the social media. It's like, all right, we're all gonna watch the show as a family. Let's all look at BT Awards tonight, or something with more gravity paths. But we don't really have monoculture because the internet has flattened the world out. So everybody dresses the same across the country. Everybody music sounds the same across the country. And so when we talk about like icons, like the way y'all was talking about Stevie, I thought was really significant because wow, I can't believe we're really talking about like he might not be here anymore. But you could play a Stevie record like Songs in the Key of Life, any of the songs on there, at any event, any barbecue, and people will start crying. People will be dancing, and people will like we have emotional reactions. I can't say that about today's era necessarily unless you just have a particular moment with certain artists. Like when with Victory Lap, I literally still listen to Victory Lap like 3 or 4 times a week. Like I was sobbing when he passed away, and they showed his homegoing ceremony on television in LA or whatever, and it was like 2 3 hours. And you saw like Mustard, everybody come up there, YG, everybody come up there. I remember being emotional about that, but I know everybody might not have that Nipsey like connection or whatever. Like it might not look up to him, revere him, whatever. And so I think that the reason people, I say in some, I digress, but everybody keeps trying to make these wild connections. And and this is where I was going with this. Like, and this is the same reason, like with Chloe Bailey, for example. I think Chloe Bailey is coming along as like a really dope young artist, but inevitably, all you see online about her is like all this trash because people are always comparing her to freaking
I
Beyonce.
agree with that. I agree 1,000%.
So it's
It
like, yo,
overshadows her.
it
Yeah.
overshadows her exactly. And Kia was, I think, was a Kia Yon. I forgot who said it. But one of y'all was saying like making these comparisons overshadows what people are doing right now. And then it was Chloe that was happening with, and then Normani just dropped her album this year, which is it was a really dope album. But it basically like came and went, well, for a lot of different reasons, but simply put people. I saw some commentary like, "Oh my God, she's not Janet, or she's not this, or whoever." It's like Jesus Christ. Like, do y'all hear yourself? Like, are we really doing that? And so I
Yes.
think it's just wild, Joe. It really, really shades like I think like these icons for what they had done, and then the people now that are trying to make their own name.
I got a little pushback on that.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the
Oh,
two
that's why your ass is here, Mouse, because you the pushback nigga. Okay, got you.
pause. So the first piece that I had some pushback on, you said something, and you said that the internet has kind of like flattened the world, and like we don't really have those like big moments. I gotta push back on that. I think what we're doing is probably what I guess uh our elders did in their real time. Like I don't know how many of our elders were really living through the Motown era and was like, this is the Motown era. Oh my goodness. I think it came, 10 years after the fact. And as things progress, you're like, oh, that was the Motown era. That was really special. And, this was the disco era and this was really special. And I think we have those moments now, right? It's a little wild to say we don't have those moments when Beyonce just really shattered records with the Renaissance tour. And then right after that, stopped the world for a moment when she decided to release a country album. Uh, the Kendrick Drake, like we're living through a lot of moments that when you look back 5, 10 years from now, you'll be like, oh, that happened. And the other thing I want to push back on was the mention of it just kind of echoes my point earlier about comparison. I There was no era where anyone didn't compare a new artist to a older artist. So Normani's album or Chloe's album flopping, or maybe their artistry not getting the, what we feel or what fans feel it's just due. It's not because of the comparisons. It's because it's just not matching up to what people are expecting from that artist. Uh, we could go back to when Beyonce dropped "Dangerously in Love," and the 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 person who wrote the article, who like probably has the biggest foot in their mouth ever, who wrote Beyonce's album is cool, but she's no Ashanti. And then we look how many years later. So the comparisons don't stop. You just have to rise above that.
Damn, Ashanti really caught a stray for no reason. That's
Yeah,
the
but
crazy
it's
part.
crazy. I think we got one
Literally,
too.
like
She really
not the
like
princess,
she was just a Long
not the
Island
princess.
girl,
Oh
just
my
writing
god!
songs, minding her business, and niggas threw her at the fire like
As
uh,
soon as bro said that,
justice, justice for
mm,
Ashanti, dead
You
ass,
don't think
justice for Ashanti.
you don't think Ashanti would have retweeted that article
right,
today?
right,
If
right.
that
Fuck
article
Hell yeah.
no.
if
Are
that
you
article
nuts?
when that article came out, Ashanti was reading that shit like, yeah, bitch. Like, don't do that.
Yeah,
Period.
Don't
Nah,
do
I
that.
don't think
I ain't
so.
gonna hold you. I'm with
I
Mouth
don't think
on
so
that.
either.
I
I
think
think,
You think
Ashanti was like
yeah, I
But
agree.
J
absolutely
Lo
I
laughed.
on.
would.
She was on
so?
fire at the time. Like bro, we were all around when Ashanti was outside.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
Ashanti
yeah.
was big,
And that was
and
in
in
Bill
yes.
that
her head, I can see her being like, they said not in like a like. I'm pretty sure she wasn't harping on like me being a mean girl, but come on, I'm pretty sure it's like, these bitches can't stop to be like.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
She
I
was on
agree.
Really? I don't know, y'all.
she
I
had
think she
that
was a
Yes,
humble girl. I
nope.
don't know
absolutely.
if she was
I think
humble.
so. I
She
don't know,
printed
y'all.
that
I think
nope.
Ashanti would have been kept it cool and calm. I don't know.
Ashanti
Yeah.
print
I think she would have kept it cool and calm, but I definitely think she would have retweeted that shit. Like,
Ashanti
She
period.
had
she would
that
have
article.
to.
She had that article printed up. She was in Roosevelt Field Mall, walking around with that
Not
article.
Roosevelt
Watermore,
Yo, that's out
Fillmore.
of
She was
pocket.
in Green.
That's
She
out
was
of
in Green.
pocket.
She was in Green Acres with that article. Like,
Hey
bitch,
yo.
Beyonce's know me. So back to
But no,
Destiny's Child.
but Miles, before I go way off track, I would say, Miles, you did hit a great point here. It's like I think about the first Jan Jackson album, right? I think it was like what Dream Street, right? And I'm like, man, like how many people when that dropped, like they didn't even talk about that joint? How many people like didn't listen to it? How many people didn't really even listen to her till Control came out?
bro. She don't even claim those first two albums. Like she won't even perform songs from them.
Wow.
Which is a huge thing, right? Like that's a huge thing going into artistry, right? Like we're so we're so spoiled that we have so much access to artists. Because you even think about an artist like Bobby Brown, right? You think about his album Don't Be Cruel. He had two albums before that. After leaving New Edition, he had two albums before that that flopped and nobody was paying attention to. Like, but we didn't count him out because we were like, oh, we didn't hear it, whatever. Here's Don't Be Cruel. We love you, right? We have a lot of access to these artists, so we get to see these artists fail in front of us sometimes, and I think sometimes we might hold that against them a little too much, right? Like we all a lot of the people in here that I've been interacting with for years, we always say bring back artist development, right? We always sing that, we always bring that, and that's a part of it, being able to hey, this was a little too early. Go back to the drawing boards. Let's get back in with some new writers. Instead of right, like Normani's album, that might not have been the thing we should have heard first. Maybe somebody should have heard that and been like, let's go back inside.
Nah, I think Normani just need a better team, better
Better team,
strategy.
I
I'm gonna
think
just
so.
be real.
Yeah, I think
Exactly,
so
because
too.
that
And that's
album
what
is
it
good.
is. Her
Yeah,
album is
that's a good
good. I think
album.
it makes sense for the times right now. Of course, music, you could definitely push it to the 2025 if you wanted to, but I think it's more of a team thing when it comes to Normani, not even the music.
I agree. I agree. But Mouse, to your point though, I do think right now who's a great example of what you're talking about is Glorilla. Like I think Glorilla being her true authentic self in the beginning, she
Yes.
did her thing in the middle, you know what I'm saying? She had to, make her rap pop hits with the girlies, but I even think that was strategy as well. Like I think when they planned to, re-release this album, they were going to show like, no, this is a spiritual rap girly from Memphis, and like you can feel it, you can see it from the features to the production to everything. So it's like I agree on that, Sten, and I think she's a great example of that.
And she is a better example of how never to let your ops win. You understand? Let this be a Sunday. Let this be a Sunday word, okay? Because niggas is gonna have so much to say, but niggas is never gonna do shit. So that's your opportunity to show them, okay? Talk about it, because we're not gonna say the name, but somebody told her to work on her craft, and she has not stopped since. Hello, somebody, come and get me.
Stop.
Yo, I'm gonna pivot a little bit on that.
Hey,
Um,
Tori.
hello, thank you guys for doing this again. We back at it. Um, when you guys were talking about like comparison and how certain artists like Michael Jackson, for example, nobody levels up to that. The best way I've been able to kind of describe how I feel about it is when I think about the dollar. It's like the dollar will never have the same value as in the 70s, 80s, 90s because it was a different time, it was a different era, different
Mm.
approach, different backing, right? But the dollar now it still has a lot of value and it's still the best out of everything, right? I mean as far as other currencies go, give or take. But the point I'm making is like $1 million isn't worth $1 million, the same $1 million from the 70s or 80s, but we still going to get that $1 million and it still has a lot of value. I feel like the internet has lessened the mystique of artists that really drove the curiosity and the sales and all of that from previous times. I really admire artists who I don't know much about. If I go to their Instagram or their Twitter, is very professional. They're not wilding. They're not having a bunch of stuff in the media I'm learning about, don't know about their family. I value that in this time period. And I like it when they do an interview or an article. I will read it because now this is my chance to see who they are. And so I just feel like as artists, I like I like it when like people like Charlie Wilson figures out how to be popular in the new age. Um, I like it when people from like the era of like, I mean we can even say 50 Cent, for example. He's he's been able to just adjust to the new era and kind of bring some of the old school with the new school. And I feel like some of the younger artists don't have the proper mentors to show them how to really apply some of the foundation that we are missing, and that just comes back to the OGs not being there. Because if you have kids who were born in 2000 or 1998, they're going to function a certain way. You know, like people out here born in 2005. By that point, I was a teenager. I was exposed to both worlds before the internet, but they were only exposed to one way. So, yeah.
I will say though, I do believe to some degree the onus as far as like learning the foundation is on both the OGs and the artists coming up, because I do feel like just from working in streaming, there's a lot of artists who don't actually give a fuck about the foundation because they're not here for that. They're here to get a bag and get out.
Facts.
So
Facts.
it's
That's
like
facts.
for those artists, the foundation don't mean shit to them. That's not what they here
And
for.
that's why it's so fucked
Uh,
up.
I agree. I completely agree
There
with that.
are our internet wave or our just this era, it doesn't have a solid foundation. Everybody just doing whatever. Nobody's on code. Well, obviously not nobody, but y'all know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what
Mhm.
you
I gotta
Mhm.
choose my
Mhm.
words so wisely on this app.
yeah.
Steven, you
Couple.
got your hand raised. You wanna
I was
oh
literally about to say that. We got a couple
And
hands
then
raised.
What's good,
what's
y'all?
what's her name? Hair quote and Neek. You could go after.
okay.
First of all, what's up, Columbus? Shout out to all of you. 614 down. But I wanted to talk more about all the rest of everything. Thank you, Hearts. Thank you, Hearts. I wanted to talk more about like the idea of like comparison and this energy of how social media plays into it because I've been looking at that in some type of way that I think like comparison online is more rampant because people don't seem to understand what they're looking for in terms of what makes good art. They're used to consuming. Like for them, a lot of this generation content happens to them rather than they pursue it and they know why they like it. And to them, it's often a numbers game. And I think it does a disservice because like I don't want to be compared to someone like James Baldwin or even Toni Morrison or any one of my predecessors because their victories is in context to their upbringing and the time they came out. Like I wouldn't want Nipsey Hussle to be compared to Tupac because even with the activism angle, like Tupac was, I think, participating in activism the best way he knew how for his generation, and Nipsey was participating in it with the ways that he now understands he could participate in it through the West Coast. Um, like fundamentally, I'm seeing it happen over and over again. And I don't know how this generation is going to learn how to measure. Like I'm even looking at publishing across the board in books, and people don't know how to measure a good book other than the sales and whether or not you make it to the New York Times bestseller list. Um, People can't have something that gets like a one-star review or has major bombing in a bunch of publications or flops officially on the boards, but is a cult classic. I don't think we're going to have that going forward because of how this generation doesn't create its own measuring sticks. And I don't know in 10 years what legendary or even like iconic artists is going to look like when, like y'all said, like, people are chasing the bag before they're chasing like the actual legitimacy of their craft. And it'd be
See,
interesting to see with that, within the context of that comparison that's happening all the time, like how people start to speak about prior legends versus the people who are doing well within this current context.
Steven, you bring up an amazing point because literally the girls and I we were having a conversation. The girls and I feel like that was so whack. I don't like the girls and I, but it came out naturally. I'm sorry,
Shut up, kid.
guys.
Listen,
But
it's the girls and the
the
girls, okay?
girls,
It's gender neutral.
The
The
girls, the guys,
girls.
the gays, and the days, and everybody in between.
everybody involved. But no, the we were, we were having a conversation and we were talking about this idea of superstardom, and we were talking about like basically has the identity of what a superstar is evolved? Is it different for this generation or perhaps the next generation? Um, of what a superstar looks like. And we mentioned like those points of just like, do we need to compare them to people that came before them? Like where what is the criteria, and does criteria change? Is criteria allowed to change? Like, can we say that if we change the criteria of what a superstar is, that someone, just saying, for example, this is not me actually saying this, but that someone of a Tommy Richmond can be compared to a Michael Jackson if we're changing the standard, right?
I mean, you don't even have to use him. You can use Drake because Drake
Yeah,
and his
Drake.
numbers, everything what he was doing,
And
surpassing Michael
everybody
Jackson's numbers.
yeah, and
Yep.
everybody compared Drake to Michael. So like even that's a good example of just, are we allowed with generations to change the guidelines for what we consider a superstar to be or what we consider an artistic genius to be? Um, because we want to level the playing field, or do we feel like leveling the playing field is almost kind of like decreasing our quality of
And
what we're
cheapening the
saying? Yeah,
brand.
it's cheapening the brand.
The bar
Well,
is
for
in
me,
hell.
But what you say, Steven? I missed it.
but no, I was saying for me, I think it comes down to how like the legends of a generation choose to crown people. Because I was thinking about this because of certain conversations throughout the weekend. Uh, how like I was thinking about how like the Spice Girls were got their names because of a journalist crowning them in their way. And we can get into the specifics about what makes a scary
Oh,
spice, but
really?
that
Hmm.
applies,
Yeah, it was
right?
a
Like
British
how
journalist. Yeah.
yeah, British journalists, and it makes the scary spice of it all a
A
little weird.
British
But
journalist.
a
Wow.
British
A journalist,
journalist,
you
A
say?
journalist, you say?
journalism.
Oh
Oh,
my
white
God.
British, and
What's
Whoa,
that?
whoa,
a
whoa.
white
What's a
British. Oh
journalist?
my God, there's journalists
Slow
named
down,
Ben.
Holiday. Slow down,
Hey
Holiday.
man,
Hold
Russ gonna come in
on.
here. Y'all gotta chill. Russ gonna come in here, man. Y'all better
Oh my
relax.
God. Oh no, we were talking
Who's
about
gonna
that
let him up?
anyway. We were just like warming it up. But a
Oh, we gonna get to that.
journalist.
How he's
A,
going to be heard over his middle part? That's what I want to know.
a
Uh,
journalist named the Spice Girls, which is one of the legendary UK groups. Oh, okay, 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 okay.
or like
Journalist is
how
up.
even in fashion journalism, what created the concept of a supermodel. Like these things are a part of a zeitgeist of like creation. I don't think you have any more superstars because the context of what made a superstar has dramatically changed. Just like I can see how people would look at Ari Lennox's decision to move herself from socials and go, then how are you going to be relevant in today's day and age? because we have a creation of an industry that motivates itself through online participation. Like even authors can't be an author unless you have a TikTok or you're on socials because who's gonna check out your books then? Like the standard, I mean, when like you go through an MFA, you go through the basic training for your craft, you notice how the dialogue of the older generation talking about what you need to do is not the same what the reality is. You know, me coming up in digital journalism and culture writing and having to start a Twitter account to get my journalism career kickstarted is a reflection of the industry as what it looks like. People don't know your name, they're not going to check out your article, and people feel a lot more abrasive about participating with you if they don't have some context of your career outside of like you went to a certain J school or you went to a certain college or you were in certain circles. Like the social landscape is different. I think it's also why we're seeing a lot of people be called content creators who aren't content creators, who are just artists who have their art online, right? And
Talk
I
about
think the
it.
terminology is going to change and we won't have superstardom, but it's going to be like some new alternative point of view. I think the next comparison if people were going to make to a Beyonce in another 5 or 10 years is someone who is actively participating in online culture in their own way. And I think someone like Tyla or these other creators that we're seeing pop up or a Cleo Trapper who show their talent, show their dedication to their craft, and you understand why they can exist without being online to a certain extent is going to make the framework through journalism where we have to give a new title to a certain level of ability and recognition.
We just gonna have to let the mic drop
No,
there because
because
you said a
no,
lot of
no,
Preach
but
bars.
I
it.
need y'all to understand who Steven is. In case you didn't know, Steven's a journalist.
Woo, through and through.
So
Today's
I want
word
you
of the
to
day,
understand.
class,
So I want you to
is
understand what's the difference between them and what we do. But we're
they
gonna get
not
to that
First
like
and
in a minute.
foremost,
us. They
know what
not
you're
like
talking about.
us.
No, no. Oh my God,
You
what
know
is
what?
journalism? Totally didn't know people actually like you guys are smart. You guys take contextualize stuff.
Oh my God,
But
you
we're
niggas read? Oh shit.
oh shit, people actually still be reading. That's crazy.
Listen, you see, this
With
is what
no
the white man
pictures.
listen, this is what the white man been wanted. He wanted y'all niggas to stay dumb by not reading. Okay. This is why
But
he was
they are
listen, you
dumb.
understand? Y'all not even listening. Y'all even not even realizing the play. You falling into the
But
white
we gonna
man
get
trap.
because I want to give that its own. Y'all know I'm I'm fired up. I'm fired up.
Yeah.
You got me so. Don't play with it.
Yeah, so let's go to Meek to circle back to what we talking about, and then we can come back to
Who
this
did you want to go
journalism
to?
piece.
I know we
Meek, he got his hand up.
wait, hold on. Yeah, let's do Neek and then we could do hair too, cause her hand's been raised for a minute too. Yeah,
Oh
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Okay, so
My
Neek
name is
hair, and then
y'all.
Wait, what is
My
it?
name
What
is
is
Hey
yours?
Queen.
y'all.
It's Queen.
Queen, how you doing, Queen?
I'm good.
We sound like hoteps
I'll
in
be up
here.
next.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead,
I'll
Nick.
be up next.
Joe, what is
Nah,
wrong
I
with
just
you?
wanted to speak to somebody had made a point about metrics. Somebody was talking about how the younger generation they don't take after us in the same ways. And I think that comes down to having a different understanding of metrics as far as it relates to what is good and what is best. Um, to put it more simply, like I feel like the problem with us, our generation specifically, I feel like a lot of the problems that we seeing with the younger generation start with us, or and they might start before that. But I can only speak to us, and I think we didn't put enough emphasis early on the metrics of rap because I also think that we ourselves didn't understand that before a certain time. And what I mean is when you listen to a rap album and you like say if you listen to a rap album with like your younger brother, I don't know if any of you have younger siblings, but I listen to rap albums with my younger siblings and I usually discuss them with them to see their perspective and how it differs from mine. When I listen to it, I realize that they're looking for different things other than what I'm looking for, which reminds me that maybe we didn't place enough emphasis on what to look for. And I have to um I got to probe myself on why that is. And I think that's because we ourselves didn't understand certain things before a certain time. Like everybody here now is at an age where, you know, when you hear a rap song, you can kind of dissect it and you know, you can pretty much gauge it for quality because you have an understanding at this point. But when you were younger, you weren't necessarily even concerned. And I feel like we weren't concerned with the younger generation even then, the kids who were watching us grow up. So now we have a lot of complaints about them, and we're not understanding that a lot of those things stem from what we lacked or what we failed to do. I was having this conversation with somebody where I said, Loon is the one who said, he said, our generation failed your generation. And he was talking to us. Like, if you, let me see, if you 29 to, I'm going to say 35, he's talking to us when he says that. And he's right. We didn't get a lot of metric, like we didn't get the art of it. Like we were taught the music, and then we had the internet so we could go and find older music. But even then there wasn't a clear emphasis on what's good and what's excellent. Like of course we understood, like, you know, we put Jay-Z, you know, he's highly exalted as far as our thing. But then say if somebody comes out and they might be almost as good as Jay-Z. Well, how do we actually know that if we don't have a clear metric system? And that's the problem. We don't have a clear metric system. So these young kids, they don't understand. When I'm listening to your song, I'm listening for the creativity. I'm listening for what I want you to say what another nigga wouldn't say. If you're gonna say what another nigga would say, then that's points off. How many of them understand that? How many of them understand that, yo, you got to be fresh with your punchlines? You can't use a Jordan reference. You can't use a Jersey reference. You can't use, oh, I got a 30 in my Glock like Steph Curry. Like, if another nigga said that already, you can't say it. You got to find something more creative to say. That's what I mean when I say it's certain nuances like that that we didn't pass to them. So now when they're rapping, they don't understand. Now they're just
Yo,
saying
bro,
shit. And then if we,
I'm sorry to cut you off so promptly, but I have a question.
nah,
Like,
go ahead.
have you noticed the lack of competitive nature in rap?
Yes.
I feel like that's a part of it. Like, you don't care to have a better verse. That's crazy.
I let me give you a personal perspective about that. I think our generation is a little bit more hypersensitive in terms of
Yes,
competition.
agreed. There's no competition in
Um,
these times at
any
all.
these niggas, they want to get along. They don't want to go bar for bar. They don't want to get humiliated. They don't want to get embarrassed. They're all scared of that. And I can speak to that from experience. I'm not gonna put that man name in here, but there's somebody, if you know me, then you know we go, you know he's literally scared of me. I taunt him for shits and giggles because I know they're never gonna say anything to me. But I'm saying that to say it's like we've gotten to a point to where now if you spar with a nigga on record, he's taking it personally. And it shouldn't have never
He
been
may
that.
want to kill
It's
you because you done said some shit that it not no offense, but but it gets to that level.
No,
It
it,
dead ass
it and
do.
it be that, and I haven't really gotten to the point. I haven't really gotten to the bottom of what that's about. But what I do understand amongst my peers and us, I mean, our generation, is that if you want to spar with these niggas on record, they might take it personally. It's not the same as when, it's like, niggas. If niggas was gonna battle back then, it was understood like, yo, we keeping it on wax because if it's gonna be some street shit, ain't gonna be no music. Ain't gonna be no battles. When I see you, it's on. That was understood. So at the point we going back and forth, it's understood like, yo, this don't gotta be that. And in some cases, it spilled over. But what I'm saying is, if you really, if you from a certain element, you understand like, yo, if it's rap, it's rap. Like we not going to the other thing because we don't have to do that. A lot of these kids, I feel like, for one, they're not street, and so they're trying to exude something they don't really understand. And then for two, it's like when the shit is on, they don't necessarily know how to handle it because they don't even understand how to deal with that kind of situation from jump. I feel like these niggas are very sensitive in terms of like I could say something about a nigga in a bar and I'm just saying like, yo, I was just being playful, and the nigga will come back with an entire song, and then he got a whole Instagram post, and then I'm on his Instagram story, and then now he got his homeboys on their Instagram trying to diss me too. It's a whole thing, and it's like, yo, we not, these niggas don't understand the difference between what's real and what's rap. And then I also feel like it comes down to metrics because we don't understand metrics. And I was making that example earlier, but I could give you another one. Like Niggas not understanding, like, okay, if a nigga gonna have a song with a triplet flow, you do another flow. Like, how many niggas understand to switch up flows? If they see one flow work, now you got 20 niggas trying to make a song with that same flow. There's no individualism. We don't understand metrics. Like, these young niggas don't understand metrics. And I feel like our generation might be too late to really implement it. So where now they've a certain framework and they're adhering to that. So when it doesn't speak to quality, I mean, now we kind of in a shit show because, you know, everything's out of whack. And I feel like that's what it was. We didn't really lead them the way we should have led them. Um,
I
I don't know.
also
That's all
think
I got to say about that. I could keep
No,
going,
I
but
agree. That
one
was a
one
good
quick
point,
point,
Unique.
one quick point before you mouse. I saw you did microphone, but I kind of think about it like the cult mentality of music, how like it kind of got the cult fan base. It's like once people saw one thing worked, it was like now you got 1 million, 2 million fans that love that specific sound. And so now they just all make that sound and the whole cult just pump it up like a stock.
Yeah. Nick, before I even start, me and Nick are friends outsiders, so a lot of what he's saying I understand. Um, my only thing with a lot of this, I think people tend to forget that music is art, and it give me a second because it's gonna sound like I'm caping for like people putting out garbage. I'm not, but music is art, so it's really hard to tell people or try and make a space for people to all feel the same way about the same art, right? Like everybody's going to feel what they're going to feel. Now, there was a moment, right, when hip hop was birthed, it was playful, it was fun. Somewhere down the line, it became a very militant thing, a very rigorous thing, a very meticulous thing. And then that's when, you have 1986, where you have BDP and you have Rakim and you have I'm forgetting the other big album that dropped that year, where everybody's like, "Oh, storytelling rap, metaphors, oh, boom, boom, bap." That's the style of rap we doing now. And then that became, and then a few years later in '94, when you get Nas and you get Big, and you're like, "Oh, this is what hip hop is." We tend to forget like that is just one facet of this thing, right? And when the industry itself is being ran by the same people that are trying to rap and build it, you get a lot of trauma, and you get things that are done out of quote unquote culture instead of actual good practice, right? In any form of music, the most popular music isn't always the quality, right? And that's, you can find that in any aspect. You talk about pop music, there are people, when Britney Spears came out, there were people, and the reason I bring up pop music, because pop music was always intended to be big and fun and lifeless. But when Britney Spears came out, there was a whole bunch of people saying that's not real pop. The Beatles came out, there were people saying that's not real rock. There's always somebody who feels something a lot of deeper. So what I'm saying and all that is the most popular thing isn't always going to be the most creatively sound and most quality thing. I think what we tend to start needing to teach is the fans, right? You teach the fans, you need to go find what it is that you want. And then we'll stop. I think, oh, after a while, we'll stop having these arguments about, oh, he's not rapping like this. Because the kids today, like Nick said, they don't have a respect or they don't have a knowledge of metrics. So what does that mean? It means that they are going off of feeling. They're going off of how this music makes them feel. So I'm not gonna sit here and tell them they wrong for that. So if you want music that's going to make you feel something, or you want artists to make you feel something, we can lean into that. But I think we do ourselves a disservice. We do the music a disservice. We do other generations a service when we start to like lean in, like, oh, this ain't quality. Quality is only quality to the people that sign up to make quality. So th- you got to also remember, hip hop is the only space in any art form, I would believe, that you could have a 50-year-old competing with a 21-year-old, right? Like there's no adult contemporary hip hop, right? So we tend there's a lot of muddied water, there's a lot of muddied and gray area when it comes to this thing. uh and it's simply because I feel like from day one there was never any set institution behind it. It was a fad that caught on, and people said, "Oh no, this ain't a fad. We're making money off of this," and then it was commodified.
I think to that
Uh,
point though, that's why it's so important that as programmers in like the DSP space, it's essentially like expanding this beyond just rap. I think it's so important to really lean into um subgenres because I do think as gatekeepers we do have a responsibility to create standards for certain genres, like, and I say that coming from the position of R&B, right? Like I don't think we should be calling everything R&B, and to your point, maybe we don't say that it's not quality, but I do feel like certain things do not belong in contemporary R&B categories when they're trap leaning R&B, when you're more so a melodic rapper than you are a singer. But I do feel like to your point, and I think it's more so something that we do as older, and I don't even want to say older because I'm not that old. I'm only in my 30s. But we do tend to call things trash or not quality when we don't like them or we don't feel like they live up to the standard that we have for music that we grew up on. When all it really is it's just not resonating for
Hmm.
us. Because it doesn't necessarily fall into the standard of what we're used to. So we should probably create new standards and new categories for that stuff so that we're not calling it trash, but it's just not this, it's
And that
that,
and
if
that
that makes
also
sense.
what you said was super important. Gatekeeping is super important, and secondly, most importantly, I think we need to just remember that this only happens in black music, which I understand. All music at one
Yes.
point was black music, but specifically when we're talking about R&B and hip hop, these are black music forms that the rest of the industry don't care about. Which is why, like I said earlier, they don't take the time to start to create subgenres. They just toss it all to one side. Well, actually, they've taken down the wall that used to say hip hop R&B, and now it's all hip hop R&B. So, you know what I mean? Like, we got to start doing that, and it goes back to what Tatiana said about gatekeeping. Gatekeeping, when done properly, is extremely important and extremely necessary.
R.I.P. ASAP Yams. I don't want any white people in hip hop. All right, now
No
let's let
facts.
Queen.
Yo.
Let's let
Yeah,
Queen
Queen.
speak real quick. Get your points
I
off
love
Thank
my
y'all
my
down. I
you.
girl.
really do love y'all down, but like
Thank
we
you.
know why. Like we want to get to meat and potatoes because I got dragging to do. Um,
Okay.
but Queen, no, Queen, we want you to go. Just go ahead.
Yeah. Appreciate y'all.
Great
Appreciate y'all.
points, though,
Thank y'all.
guys. Great points. Love the conversation and the dialogue.
Yeah. Thank y'all for letting me speak. Hey, everybody. My name is Queen. So I've been waiting to get this point off since the last space, since we've been talking about all of the moments from 2024 and stuff, and Cat Williams and closing the portal. So when Key brought up the Rap War 2024, and she mentioned that a figure that she follows mentioned that the war was coming. I want to say I also was a part of that select population that predicted that the rap war was coming, and I got receipts. The reason that I predicted that it would happen soon is because Drake was doing the rollout to some project, some album or whatever, and he was playing like this fake ass mob boss during that rollout, going at women. But he also surprisingly was going at men too. But the thing is, he was trolling and talking seemingly non-threatening, like the Pharrells, the Drams, the Donald Glovers, Kanye West, um, Serena, Alexis Ohanians, those niggas. So then I'm like, he called himself. Let's see if he really liked that
Queen,
when
your phone,
Kendrick up next.
Queen, your phone is
Yeah.
breaking up. That's one,
Oh shit.
and then two. If it's okay, I love the point that you're making, but we just were trying to follow something here, and we just want to get to.
Yeah.
I want to offer you that space though, but we
Yeah.
just
That.
we on
Yeah.
a
It was
certain ride right now, and we just need to hold on to that ride if you know what I'm talking about.
right. I just needed to get it off real
Okay.
quick because it goes
No.
into something
Oh,
else. It
okay.
goes into
Okay. Well,
something
what's
else.
the? I'm
Yeah.
really not trying like, but we have we have to get off at 7 o'clock. Milan has rehearsal she has to do for her tour,
Right.
so we want to get to our main point.
Yeah, I was waiting since last space, so I just wanted to zoom through it real quick. That's all that
Okay.
was. And I saw
So
Mouse did a segue when he mentioned the moment we had with Kendrick, and so I was like, let me get this off now since I was waiting last time. So that's all.
anybody got something to say about me muting or?
Hello?
Oh, I just want to make sure everybody was cool because I don't know what that was about. But okay, now we're gonna move on because we offer space for everybody to come in here, get their big one off. Y'all get to say what y'all want to say. We have conversations with y'all. All we ask is for respect. I'm the one that I don't take that shit. That's it. I think. Yep, everyone's unmuted. Okay.
Oh, I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, Key. I was just trying to get off a point from
Right, but
last
I'm
time. I
just
wasn't
saying
trying
that
to be
like we're
disrespectful.
trying to move
Yeah.
on to something else. I appreciate your perspective, and I'm like sorry we
Uh,
didn't get to that in the last space, but unfortunately now we have a list
uh,
of topics that we want to get to.
I feel you.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, love.
Hmm.
Alrighty, this segment and segue is brought to you by Kia. Not the Honda, but the Kia.
Yeah.
Yo, where the fuck Mouse go, bro? Mouse, like, cause
Mouse said, I don't have time for
nah,
this.
bro, cause like, ah. Why y'all let me do that though? That's fucked up. Why y'all let me?
Listen, we have a show to run. Okay, that being said, moving right along,
Okay.
we're gonna get into the meat and the potatoes. Kia, this is your segment. This is your
Mhm.
way. This is your thing.
Mhm.
Please. I wish I had a flex bomb. I don't, unfortunately, everyone, but this is a topic that clearly we've been seeing on the timeline, the
Yeah,
discussion
I'm gonna just jump right in. I
of
don't need no mad. I'm just
journalism.
jump
So
right
go
in. I'm gonna
ahead,
just
do your
jump right in.
thing,
I'm
do
gonna
your
just jump right
thing.
in. So, oh, oh,
Oh
oh,
my
oh,
God. Don't
oh,
ever do that again,
oh.
whoever did that. I don't like that one.
That was your flex
Oh, I
That
bomb.
appreciate
was
that. I fuck with that.
that
I
was the
fuck with the flex
God is
bomb.
coming bomb. Okay, go
I
ahead.
fuck with the flex bomb. Um, how can I make the longest story short? So initially, I don't know how many people are familiar with Wayno, but Wayno, he's a podcaster, commentary. He's always around. He was on someone's podcast, and he basically said that at Dreamville Fest, he spoke to Cole, and Cole's energy was different from Dreamville's energy. Dreamville was basically like in Cole's ear, da 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 da, hyping him up. The clip went viral, which then sent Dreamville into saying some comments. Omen came out and said something about music journalists. I should have probably pulled up the tweet so that I could read it. But basically, he was reiterating a lot of rhetoric that we hear already about journalism, or specifically hip hop journalism, which is like there's a void, there's a lack, there's this, there's that. And naturally, the journalism community, especially the hip hop journalism community, came together and was like, nah, that's not really true. Somewhere in between there, Russ felt the need to tell journalists what to do with their own career, as if anyone has been checking for Russ. Um, and a writer that I truly, truly respect. Actually, she's here. I'm gonna invite her up. Wait, did she? No, that's not her that requested. But I'm gonna invite her up because I want you guys to hear this from her point of view. I feel like the response. I mean, anybody with 2 million followers, obviously, I'm expecting you to like anything like that. I'm expecting your fans to be fans. But the disrespect that I've seen from people for this writer who I truly respect, um, it forced me to jump in. It forced my Keisha to jump in. It forced the whole community to jump in. And I know that there were a lot of writers and people that I respect who at the time would probably didn't see the value in us speaking up, but with recent things that have happened, because I'm sure we can get into the Elsie thing too. I'm not afraid to directly confront that either. Oh, the Omen tweet. Um, well, oh, let me click because I do want to tell you guys the tweet in case you haven't. So Omen's first tweet was, did he delete it? Oh no, I think he deleted that tweet, guys, because it's not popping up anymore. Yeah, when I click on it, it says something went wrong, try reloading. But the other tweet is popping up. So I think he deleted the actual tweet that had everyone responding back to him. Um, but in his second tweet to Rob Markman, because that's who he responded to, he did say, oh, okay, we got a screenshot. Love the producers of the show. The first tweet was today's music journalists get so mad that the greats don't do interviews, but when they do get a chance, they literally ask every possible gossip question and say nothing about the actual music. Instead of asking what inspired a song, which by the way, that in itself is a horrible question. Don't ever ask anyone just what inspired a song. Um, it's about who they're dating. Garbage. And then his response to Rob Markman, because Rob quoted it and said, I respectfully have to disagree. There's a lot of dope writers out here. He said, I don't think they know. Oh, actually, sorry, wrong group chat. I thought it was my producer group chat. It's actually my my group chat with Maya and my Keisha. So thanks you. Thanks, sisters. Um, I don't think they know who's who. Respectfully, like you and maybe two other people that actually have a platform and do journalism with integrity. If there are several others, maybe we are all out of the loop. And he's not the only person to say that, because after Russ made his ignorant comments, Wale followed up, um, telling everyone to tell him, excuse me, our favorite hip hop journalists, not content creators, but journalists. And of course, the community rallied together because who knows us better than we do? And he deleted his tweet as well. So yeah, Najma, hi sister.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, queen. You the queen that started all of this. I'm joking.
Not on purpose,
Welcome,
okay?
welcome.
I didn't even think he would respond. Hi everybody. If you don't know me, I'm a culture writer and everyone only knows my tweets because I've been working on a book for a long time, but I do write, okay? Like relax with that one. But I want to start off all of this by saying I'm Somali and tomorrow's Columbus Day. And Columbus was Italian. Fuck Italy, fuck Italians, and fuck Russ. That's how we're starting
Oh my
off.
God, he is
Not these
Sicilian. He
Italians,
is
these Italians.
Sicilian. Oh my
He's
God.
an Italian interloper and he's 5'5". Okay? Like that should have been the baseline. Like, no. And I didn't even think he was gonna respond. Honestly, I was just annoyed with the conversation and I knew I could create a conversation out of it. He's an easy lick. It was very easy to stir up this conversation again because I think it's really important. We're in a very critical time. I'm not talking about journalism for the purpose of entertainment. You know, that's what he's basically talking about. He's talking about entertainment and marketing, and that's fine. But Palestinian journalists are literally being murdered with our tax dollars. So we do need to get very precise about language. And I don't know where all of this like got petty all of a sudden, where everyone's like, we're above the mess. J. Cole's all over the place. And I was like, wait, what? So all these niggas who are literally tweeting gossip all day are above this specific mess because what? I was just generally confused. And I'm so disappointed that people still don't know the difference between a content creator, an influencer, a writer, a journalist. Like those things can intersect in some ways, and they do. We do have to have platforms now to even get work. But the fact that there's no delineation on here and everyone thinks that they're a writer and a journalist is a problem. And everyone thought they could chime in with their so called expertise. Where's the work for you to talk about your expertise? Like, that is the purpose, that is the point. Like, right now, like, journalists should be talking about the work that they're doing. Like, we should be precision in language is something that we've been talking about all this time with headlines that were deeply passive that dehumanize Palestinians. Like if we don't get precise, we will further contribute to genocide. Like we will all be genocide profiteers. Like we need to get very precise. And this is not just about music. This is about the entire industry. Journalism is bigger than all of this. Like journalism, of course, is bigger than Russ. Like of course, like that's not even like a serious conversation. But I just lost my train of thought there. Like I'm just so annoyed with all of this right now. Someone else chime in.
Can I ask, with you and Kia being actual journalists, can you guys define these terms for the audience so that we can start there? Oh, I think she
No, no,
jumped
no.
out.
She's still here. Not Najma. You still there? I'm over here like stuttering. Is she good?
No, she's jumped out. Yeah.
It still say for me. It still say she's a speaker.
I'm about to pull my Keisha too.
Who my sister up here, son? What are they talking about, man? That's my fucking twin, yo. Where am I at?
Okay, but I see her. She's back.
Wait,
Najma's
Najma, you
back.
back?
But yeah.
Wait, I'm not
Wait,
seeing
why does it
her.
keep?
Wait, we gotta get my sister back because I need my sister.
It keeps removing her as a speaker. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, we
Hold
gotta get
on.
my sister back. But do y'all want like the dictionary definition of a journalist, or just what we think journalism is?
I would say differentiate journalist, content creator, media personality, writer. Just a lot
Yeah,
of these terms
for
that are
the
getting thrown around.
2024 year, what is the actual definition
Wait.
that
I need to.
people don't know? Can
Yeah,
you hear me?
you're good. I'm bringing all of my writers up. So Najma, you up here?
Yeah, I'm up here. I think this
Okay.
is a very complicated thing to
Wait a
answer.
minute.
I
Hold on
think
one sec. Wait, hold on 1 second, sis. I want to make sure all the real writers. I want to make sure like our gang up here. Shamir, you up here?
Yeah, I'm
Marquise is
here.
up here
I just
All
got
too.
on
right.
the Peloton bike.
Why everybody working out today? I literally told Najma and Steven, I said, so all the journalists work out on Sundays and don't tell me? That's crazy.
you have to run, otherwise you're gonna lose your mind doing this work. Like I
I don't
can't. I
already lost
can't.
it. I don't know.
Literally.
Wait, Keith, you up here, sis? You up here with the gang?
I'm here. I'm here. Gang, gang.
Oh shit. Yay. So I want to introduce my friends.
Hold on, but wait. Russ, count your fucking days.
Why, what
I'm
happened? He did something else?
No, y'all in
Oh.
here deep as
Oh.
fuck. I think y'all finna jump this
Oh,
white little boy, so
yo,
I'm
I was
ready.
ready.
What's
I
up?
just
What's
wanted
I
up?
to
was about to
go.
go
I
to his
thought something.
Twitter.
Child, I thought some shit was going. I want to introduce all of these writers because to me, they are the tent poles of all that is journalism. To me, they are. Um, Najma, culture, identity, society, the way she's able to use language to articulate her point, that's a skill. That's a gift. You tweeted something, I think yesterday, like something about Allah and the pen and how it's like spiritual for you. I appreciate you, sister.
It's always been
I saw that tweet and
spiritual.
I do want to give you your flowers.
It's
Yeah, that was a
always
great
spiritual,
tweet. Thank you
bro.
for saying that.
It's
Shamira.
it's it's
Oh, go.
bigger than like it's deeper than rap. Okay, like it's truly just deeper than rap.
Facts, yo. Shamira. Shamira is one of the first. When I was trying to break into this shit, because, and this is no disrespect, if I'm naming names, it ain't to be malicious. I just want you to understand what I'm trying to say. I was once too an Elsie. I didn't have TikTok, but I had Twitter. And I used to do Twitter threads breaking down albums. This is back in 2016, 2017, 2018. Shamira was one of the first. Her and Mykesha were the first to embrace me. And I will
That's why she's Shamira the first.
no, for real. And I will always be grateful for that, sis. I love you dearly. Steven, one of the greatest writers that I know, the way he can articulate himself and his thoughts and opinions, again, that's a skill, that's a gift. My Keisha,
Aw.
my sister, you and Shamira were the first ones to really usher me in and teach me the game, but you actually gave me something that nobody else can say they gave me. You gave me my first byline. And you brought me on the pussy rap and all of that. You knew what
Please.
I was doing with deconstructing, and we built pussy rap and all of that. And because of you, I got my first OK Player byline, which is my first byline I ever got professionally. And I'm kind of getting nervous. I never spoke to you like that because we always been like sisters. But I really want you to know how much that shit meant to me because I've gone on to write for Rolling Stone and Complex and other places and be on NPR. And the one thing that's still on my resume is pussy rap and all of that. And I
Please.
love you dearly.
I love you more.
I
Don't do
love
that.
all of y'all, bro. And I'm getting emotional because I care about y'all and what y'all do because I know what y'all did for me. Najira, I see you there, sis. I'll never forget the things you did for me and the conversations we had. And you putting me on a chat with fucking Kim Osario, bro. I'll never forget that. I won't. Nicholas, you over the pond, you are over the pond, brother. But you hold us down. And anytime there's a conversation, you speaking up for us. And I love you for that. Maya, the way you hold down R&B, you be backstage doing shots with Usher, bro. You different. But I love you, sis. You know how I'm riding for you. I know the battles you deal with at Vibe. I know what you be going through. I love you. Larry, sometimes you feel like you're not a real writer because you ain't got a whole bunch of bylines. But you transcribe for all of us. You are a crucial part of what we do as journalists. People don't know how much time it takes to transcribe some shit. Niggas want to talk about interviews. Have you ever transcribed an interview? An over hour
Woo-hoo.
interview, an over two
Woo.
hour interview, multiple interviews because you're doing an investigative story. Have you ever did that? Larry has for us.
That
And I
shit
love
is
you.
work. It's real fucking work. It's so much work. Like that can never be downplayed. People can't even transcribe correctly. Do y'all know that? Like that's not a baby skill. It's a very real skill.
So when
They're using
y'all on
Chat
here
GPT now.
and y'all rallying behind what the fuck Russ is saying, yeah, I'ma always step for them. Fuck me. I'ma always step for them. Cause I know what they do. And you may not know it, but that's why you ask questions. That's why you ask somebody, well, how you do that? Every time I'm in a room with a rapper, yo, how you do that? How What's your thought process? That's the skill of an actual interviewer, of someone that knows their shit. And I respect every single last one of y'all. And I'm gonna let y'all get y'all shit off. I know everybody got opinions they want to get off, and I really wanted to do this to give y'all the space. Fuck me and my opinion. I fuck with y'all. I love y'all, and I'm gonna ride for y'all at any means. And I'm gonna give y'all all the space to talk. Any other journalists want to come up here, get their shit off, come up here too. But this is shit. Not Najma, Shamira, Steven, Keish, whoever else want to come up, y'all come up. This for y'all. Fuck me. This y'all. Go crazy.
Well, I wasn't ready, sister.
No, that was everything. Like, also, just want to pop in real quick before I like disappear for another second. Like, I love you guys so much. I love Black writers and journalists so much. It is so hard to do this work. It is so hard to be taken seriously. It is so difficult to try to toe this line of being professional, graceful, firm, gentle, and still like inform people. Like, that is such a delicate line to toe, especially as Black women publicly. I personally don't give a fuck. Like, respectability politics do not apply here. Like, I don't care. I will always forget aiming for the jugular. I'm going for your head. But I know everybody else is not willing to take those kind of hits. It's not a fun position to be in. But regardless, it doesn't matter, because even when we're being timid, people are going to be atrocious. So I just hope you guys are like keeping up your spirits, like taking care of yourselves. Like, it's very important, taking care of your mental, like staying sharp, taking care of your bodies. Like, it's just so important. I just want to put that out there before we get all into this.
Uh, no, to your point, Najma, I just felt like I was the Libra in me be like I could be combative if I wanted to, but I really try not to go back and forth with people on Twitter anymore because it's usually just talking into the abyss. But I just felt like the way he was disrespecting Najma and the way he was disrespecting journalism as a whole, how could we not engage? Like, how could we not stand up for her? And he's telling her that without him and other athletes and public figures, we wouldn't have jobs, when that's not even 10% of what we do is interviewing celebrities and artists. So I just felt like even if this conversation is cyclical and we talk about it every year and people act like they don't see the value in journalism or written word, like, how could you not speak up in that moment? I don't care if it was 3 a.m. and we was talking about that shit. If we bored, then I guess we bored, because I wasn't about to stand by and watch
Period.
white Jesus do that. Like,
Praise Jesus.
Not white
I really,
Jesus.
I really want to address that. They must be
Please do
bored
not
shit.
disrespect my Jesus. Thank you, because he does not reflect him. Okay, go
Black
ahead.
Jesus is powerful. But I really want to address
And he
that.
black.
It's not that deep. You know, they must be bored shit, right? That Dante, I'm gonna say your name specifically, Dante put out in circulation to everything that was happening. It is this fucking deep. Like, so much of what we do gets trafficked across the board. Like, you ask the question of what makes a content creator, and a journalist, primary sources, right? So much of what we see in this commentary is reactions to the things that we've already put out. The number one thing I learned in my short stint in copywriting when I was doing that work, because the journalism industry is burning right now. It's not going to
Tell
die,
him.
but our protections aren't going to be there. And we now represent ourselves, not an institution, who will back us up in what we're doing, who will fund our projects, and who will stand in front of a gang of people who want to create a mob for us for telling the truth. We don't have those institutions protecting us. We just have each other. Um, in that industry, the number one thing I noticed people is just going is just run things through ChatGPT, ask Google, and a lot of the work was built on the backs of so many different journalists doing so much different work. And I think that a lot of people, specifically these curators, whose attention to curation is about what they think is hot, but not what makes the hotness, spicy, right? They think that they can get away with the stunt of social media, of clout chasing, saying doing something is not worthwhile, because why would you ever dedicate the time to doing this? We do journalism as a favor to the public, right? We are the people who put in the time and put in the energy and who have the dedication to a craft to understand that we're going to spend the next 2 hours finding the tedious connections between point A and point B so that you can get that one paragraph summary that someone else is going to regurgitate in a bad manner in a talking head. It is that deep. And for you to sit there and look at us, what if I were to say your curation podcast is just a PR stunt waiting to happen? How would you feel if I said the time you put into this playlist that has built your identity is worthless? It is that deep. And if you want us to continue doing what we're going to do it anyway. But if you want us to consider you a part of the conversation, then have some respect to the energy that it takes to even include you.
Yo,
Okay.
Steven, you said everything right there, man.
Oh shit! And Michael, wait.
I was literally gonna say
Hold
he's
up.
also a writer.
Michael, let me tell you about Michael. I didn't have a single byline to my name, but Michael is in Miami doing the real groundwork. He does the shit that when people talk about journalism, they don't talk about. Writing for your local newspaper, writing for your local outlets, and telling the stories that are locally happening in your community. Because that's the part about journalism y'all forget too. Not y'all, but you know what I'm saying, that people forget. People seem to think journalism is just you sitting down with an artist every 5 days and doing something. And that's not it. There's investigative journalists. The biggest story of this year was Diddy. And who did the biggest investigative piece on it? Rolling Stone. I don't need all of this extra, but Michael is in the streets doing the groundwork. And I ain't have a single byline to my name, and I asked him to be my mentor. Just like if he ever get advice or if he ever like, whatever, like whatever he can offer me, like take me under your wing. And one day he said to me, this was recent too, like maybe a year or two ago. He said, Kia, I don't think I'm the mentor no more. And I was like, huh? He was like, have you looked at what you've done and places you've written for? He's like, I ain't even got there yet. And in my head, I still view you as my mentor, not because, oh, I've written for this or did this or hung. No, 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 no. I still view you as my mentor because when I asked, you offered and you always extended space for me personally and professionally. And I love you, Michael. But yeah, back to my
Oh
journalist friends. How you
yeah,
doing?
yeah, damn kid. Bro, I mean, I love you too, sis. Like for real. Like, I needed to hear that Sunday before like you'll start work tomorrow at 7 a.m. I really needed to hear that. Like, it's been hectic in South Florida, but more to the point, like, because I could easily go on a whole different tangent. It was 3 a.m. Like, and I think I saw Chase and Kia and Makisha tweeting nonstop about they angry at somebody, and then I'm going through the quote tweets, and I'm like, okay, this talking about the boy Russ, who I don't know none of his music, and I love music, mind you, literally, like it's in my head. But I never actually, I can't tell you a single song he got. I just know he's like independent, he's mad successful, whatever. And then when I found out why there was a Twitter space 3 a.m. Friday morning or Saturday morning, really, like I was like, yo, people is hot. And then I saw people what people were saying, and simply put, I don't know how to say this politely, so I'm not going to try to, but like seeing things from having covered arts and culture and seeing things like in the mainstream type stuff or whatever, like chances are if an artist rather thinks that they are that important or really any figure note to be able to talk crazy about like a whole industry, more often than not, I would say 9 out of 10 times they are not that poppy. So there's that part of it. But even within like music journalism, I'll be straight up. Like the reason why I pivoted at different points in my career was because the bar is so low. Now, it doesn't mean that the people doing music journalism have always not been great, but I grew up reading Double Excel. I grew up reading The Source, like Elliot Wilson, Danielle Smith, Mimi Valdez. And so in my brain, I'm like, yo, like wow, Vibe magazine, they covered the marriage certificate between R. Kelly and Aaliyah and like how trash all that whole thing was. Like this is for me the bar. And at some points, people like Russ got it twisted that like all these content creators represents what music journalism is, what hip hop journalism is. And simply put, that's not the case. First of all, I was offended when he was talking about, oh, I gotta pay out a pocket for interviews. Bro, who are you paying for interviews? Like who?
B
Who are
dot.
you?
B
Let's
dot.
talk about it.
First of
Dick
all,
riding.
first of all, why
Literally.
why why did B Dot wake up at Russ's request at 3 a.m.? That was the
Because he
craziest
owns him.
thing.
Bro,
That
as soon
is
as Russ told him to wake up, he was
slavery.
up.
That's slavery. Oh my God.
When you
And
are on salary, you always on call.
Then they were trying to frame it as, oh well, I'm not paying him for the interview. I'm paying for the lights and the background and the
Man,
cameras.
I don't care.
I
I don't
saw
Okay,
care if you
that.
Yeah,
pay
there's
for
Like
a
you're still
Chipotle.
paying for the
there's a word
interview
for that. It's called
then.
branded editorial, my nigga. Like, what are you
Yes.
doing? Like,
Yes, and so I quickly digress because so many other people need the floor and deserve the floor. But that's the biggest thing. Like, there's at some point people got it twisted that the advertorials are the actual, like, what journalism, what news writing is right about, and it extends into the culture even more. Which, and I thought some people said some really dope stuff, like about like how we should even assess the music. If you're a music journalist, and for example, I think on what was the Drake album? I think on Certified Lover Boy, when he sampled like an R. Kelly song for, was it TSU? I think, and somebody pointed that out. I mean, like, I like that album overall. It was chilling, whatever. Like a lot of recent Drake albums have been the best, but anyway, and they were like, well, yeah, like that's an actual R. Kelly song. So think about it next time you're vibing, whatever, or you making your playlist. Like this song was written about like young girls, basically. Like one of the songwriters credited originally wrote that song about young girls. So if you're a music journalist, you have to point that out. Like, you may not want to, maybe you're not gonna make no friends. You're not here to be nobody's friends. Like, simply put. And somebody must have hit Russ over the head and been like, yeah, all these people are supposed to eat out your hand. If you think that, you gotta be tripping, bro. Like, and if it shows me you don't even care about the music you make. If you're more worried about, oh yeah, they're supposed to be, I don't want to be working around no people that are just gonna be like saying flowery things about me all the time. If I mess up or if I'm not that great, tell me I'm inadequate. Tell me I'm mediocre. So I digress. But simply put, Russ is talking about PR. There's nothing wrong with PR. Any PR in the room, I love y'all. Like, I work with y'all all the time. Like, that's cool. But PR is not journalism. Simply put.
And neither is content creation. Like, I think we need to get very clear cut about who is a journalist and who is not. And I think that it was
Tell me when
very
you're ready to name the name.
I think it was very left field for people who are not journalists to stick their neck on the line to validate his points against journalists. Like, if anything, we're the closest to peers you got who actually do the work. So
Or
I'm
former
I
journalists too. That shit was
yeah.
crazy to me.
Yeah,
Recently, academics crowned himself the best journalist right now.
Yo,
yeah,
come
I just
that's
want to put
that's
that out
on.
there.
what I'm
How could
saying.
you do
I'm
that when you
so
couldn't finish your
tired.
degree?
Winnie the pedophile needs to shut the fuck up. I'm so tired of that honey bun dumbass. Like, I'm so tired of him posting. Like, I'm so tired of him saying anything. Like, we
First of
got,
all,
as a
what is a
collective,
honey bun dumb ass? What? Yo, you really a writer, yo. You really
I'm
are
sick
a
and
honey.
tired of him. Like, we like the Shade Room, DJ Academics, all these people. We need to go on mass reporting sprees together.
No,
Like,
for real, for real.
Like, so
I
many
also think too,
people
No
it's
facts.
the
Y'all
other
need to have like some type of takeover, culture takeover.
Wait, Shamira, did you? I really want Sham. You know I want to hear what you gotta say.
I
You
know
know,
she won't come up here.
no, Shamira on here.
I'm here.
Oh,
I'm here.
okay.
I'm trying to keep my thing brief, but I'm gonna ramble a little
No,
bit.
no, no, no. Get your shit off. Get your shit
Wait,
off.
before you ramble, I just want to say we follow each other recently, and I love reading your thoughts on shit. Like, they're so honest, and I feel like it's a level of
Girl, it's
honesty
because
that
I
I
have
would
my
love to
shit
see
locked
more.
now. I'm not trying to have
I
people.
was literally gonna say I hate that your shit is
I'm not
live.
trying to have people tell me that I only get paid 300 to write what I have to write when my actual resume is for real, and that's just what it is, right? So like, I am always happy to share my thoughts with you guys. A lot of people here know that like I'm always open to extended conversation offline. I don't talk about that shit publicly. There's plenty of people even in the audience who I've spoken to or amplified and said I think that shit is dope, right? Like, I always believe in paying it forward. It's never a competition for me. Like, I'm never trying to brag about that shit for real. Like, we're all trying to get out here and get it, right? But so thank you, Tatiana, and thank you, Kia, for your, really nice comments earlier, right? But at the end of the day, I think what blows me, like, people have been saying that journalism is dead for 10 years. The pivot to video happened in 2012. Sorry, y'all, I'm in my mid-30s. I've seen this 3 times now, right? Like, the first pivot to video, the second pivot to video, and this new pivot to video. It's not new. It's not interesting, right? What I think does strike me now is that if we're going to use this vague word creatives, right? And let's just say that's people who are artistically inclined across modes of writing, expressing themselves artistically, whatever the fuck that means to you, right? Being somebody who has a creative mind innately means you have a sense of curiosity. And what blows me whenever these conversations happen for real is it exposes how many people do not have any sense of curiosity about the art they're trying to do, why things are happening, why it's not happening, why the things that are consistent of journalism are taken apart piece by piece for the more glorious things, right? The things that get you the likes on Instagram, the things that get you the retweets, to be put on people who are not trained or not trying to build up from the trenches, and people don't have any curiosity around that. I'm not even that mad for real that Russ believes what journalism is. He's talent. I'm not surprised that he believes that journalism is a platform for only for him to read his reviews and amplify the work he's doing, right? That's fine. But you're not going to come up here and tell us to suck our dicks, right? Because I'll tell you to suck my dick right the fuck back. Like, that's just it, right? And like, the reality of the situation is that the reason why you believe that is because that is the only part of journalism that you're exposed to and the people who flatter you are exposed to, right? Because if I'm about to talk about how for me to write a story, I don't just need a pitch, I have an editor, I have a copywriter, I have a fact checker, I have a legal team making sure that my more ambitious pieces protect me, right? Because if I told you the amount of celebrities, people way more relevant than us, that have tried to threaten me with lawsuits over the things that I've written about, that people who make videos don't get the same level of heat of or accountability, you would be blown. People have gone to straight up CEOs of magazines trying to shut down shit I've had to say, right? You know, people who don't think, why is it that there's more interesting and compelling parts of this conversation? Or, oh, the interviews I get to write, those are the only things that matter or are relevant to you, right? I could write about anything if I don't even have to speak to the talent. I've written a profile not even speaking to the person I've spoken to, because that's not the only thing that you have to do to make a successful profile. That's not the only way you build a story about somebody. That's not the only way you have curiosity about somebody, right? I build bridges to talk to other people to make sure that we figure out how to tell a story that's accurate, compelling, and it doesn't have to be something crazy ambitious, right? Like sometimes it is mad ambitious. Sometimes it's, I remember he and I talked about this a few years ago. New York Magazine was doing a package on just New York hip hop, right? And she immediately said upfront, like, oh, you know, they're not really talking about the upcoming drill scene. And I was like, don't worry about it. I got you. It's coming. I'm the one doing it because they don't understand New York streets like I
Yup, you
understand New
damn
York
sure
streets.
did
That's
say
the
that.
reality, right? Like, and I wasn't mad at Kier for that critique because that's what you see. You don't see the process of me pitching for a package saying, I need to write about 15 New York artists myself and explain why they're relevant and making sure that gets executed correctly, right? You know, that takes mad work. And that's just on a basic level of a listicle, the shit that people swear they hate, but dick ride every 2 seconds, right? Like, we're not even talking about the more complicated 3,000, 4,000 word features, the times that you reach out to 4 or 5 people to get a line quote in an email. The time that I got an email from Fresh Montana, literally on the way to filing something that wasn't even spell checked properly for 2 sentences, right? You know, and then gonna argue about what that shit says. Like, there's just so much that goes into making something compelling, successful, and well written, and you're not going to tell me that what you do equates to what I do. And that's fine. You haven't put a pen to a paper in 5 years. That's cool, right? Good for you. That's not my problem, right? But I can tell you what you are, what you aren't, right? And I'm not even, the funny thing about it is that I think a lot of people think when writers say stuff like this, it comes down to jealousy. It's not jealousy, right? I'm not pressed to do playlists. I'm not pressed to be on video. I'm not even pressed like that to be on panels, right? Like, that's just not my bag. I want to write. I want to explore different things. I think writing about culture means writing about the way that Black people live, breathe, and connect amongst each other, right? And there's so many ways to approach that, whether it's reported, whether it's essays, whether it's a million things, right? But when I know my body and you trying to tell me what it is not, that's just not going to work, right? Like, it's just not. And I think what a lot of people seem to lack to understand is it's actually not just like unfair to tell journalists to build up their own platforms to be successful. It's actually impossible. Like, it's not just unfair. You're telling people to sustain a public good by themselves, right? And then like,
Bingo,
be
bingo.
for real. Like, be actually for real, right? The pieces that I've had killed, if I try to run them by myself, I would be broker than I am right now because I would be sued to existence, right? Like, it doesn't actually work. But if you don't write challenging work, if you don't do challenging things, if you haven't had to actually push against the process to do something that works against institutions, to tell a compelling story, you're not going to know that. And for the fact of the matter is, we could tell real stories about shit that actually succeeds using the traditional media platform. Tell easy story. Victoria Monet. Love Victoria down, right? Have loved her for 8, 10 years. Her actual work as a solo artist. Not her Jaguar 2 album, impeccable, obviously. But you know what she did? And a lot of people in this room can attest to that. Her team reached out to journalists early with the album. Say, we'd
Bruh,
love to
it was
talk to
like
you
a
about
good
it.
6 months before because it was in March when they brought us to the RCA, the Sony offices to listen to it.
Said, we'd love to talk to you about it. This is what we're working on. We think it's going to be amazing. Here's early copies. Let us know when you can have conversations about it. And the fact that it was journalists going crazy over that project is what helped get it the buzz. That's just the real, right? Victoria's always had a fan base, but it was journalists actively campaigning on our own, not because she paid us, not because the publicist paid us, but because we recognized that it was her time to shine and try to give it that real context that helped that move forward. And that's just honesty, right? I'm not saying that works every way for every artist. I'm not saying it should work that way for every artist. But what you have to do is be honest about what is failing and what is not failing and why, and have some curiosity as to why things are shifting in ways that are in your advantage. Because we could talk about capitalism, we could talk about exploitation, we could talk about private equity, we could talk about the digital markets, all that, right? But we're not going to say journalism has not been democratized. It's actually just been exploited for parts. All right, I'm done rambling. I'm sorry, I've been
Woo,
talking too long.
woo.
No, that's why I needed you to speak because like like all the writers I got up here, even the writers that are just in here. I respect what y'all do so much, and the way you guys articulate what we do, what you guys do, what this industry is. I'm always in awe. So thank you, Shamira. You know I always appreciate you coming up here and speaking for us. Steven, what's up? What you got? Oh, Larry up there. Oh, y'all bringing the shooters
Oh,
out.
it's so
Okay.
beautiful up in here. All right. First of all, I want to add on to that. Like I've seen so many different artists who have questioned why black, especially black and queer writers, haven't covered their work. And I've had to pull them aside and explain to them in detail the labor that goes into supporting people and how there is an ethic to what we have to do that doesn't just cause, oh, well, you guys should be unbiased and you should just put me on because, you know, my music is good. I'm hot. I do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, yeah, but you're also a terrible person. Like fundamentally, every time I think about pitching you, you do something terrible that makes me second guess the worthwhileness of doing that. And that is a part of journalism too, the understanding of the context of what is going into what the effort of publishing something is as a person, but also the effort it takes to uplift that thing and hold it on your shoulders as a part of your long-standing portfolio. That you said this, that you endorsed this, and that it participates in the culture as an internal thing, right? Even without these publications, if I put you into a book, that book is going to last forever. And how I contextualize you is important. Maybe you don't want me to talk about you because what good thing am I going to have to say? Do you want it immortalized like that? Reputation and how you approach things is representative in how important journalism is. It builds your lore, it builds your perspective, it builds how people talk about you. And that is vital. That said, oh, is Dante still in the room? No, I think Dante dropped. Um, yeah.
Steven, you're in timeout. You and my dog are
I'm
both going in
good.
timeout. No,
If
yeah,
I speak, if
I'm a
I
sweet
speak,
person.
who that saying if I speak? Who that saying that?
I'm saying that
Oh shit. Yes, not. Yes.
we're gonna be Miskeen today, though. We're gonna be Miskeen today, okay?
Astaghfirullah, Najma, don't do that.
I mean, what we doing? What we doing? What we doing?
I'm about to
I
turn
just want to
30
chat.
now, so
Oh, go ahead, Naya.
I'm gonna be mature, but no writer is above being in the mix of anything, especially if you've been writing the way everyone in here has been. So I just had a little chuckle, I had a little laugh. That's all.
Okay, so I'm gonna just say, but I'm not no, because I really don't want to be rude. I really don't because there's no reason for me to be rude because I have respect for what everybody does and everybody's lane and everybody's faces. My main issue today, well, from last night to today, because last night I went to go see the Pharrell movie. Shout out to Pharrell, it was a good movie. Y'all should go check it out. I didn't get paid for that, but yeah, y'all should go do that. Um,
I second that.
no, it's real good.
It's a
It's a
great
great
movie. It's
movie.
a
It's
great movie.
good. I know that when conversations happen in the industry, in media, whatever the case may be, we all kind of have our opinion on things. It's just natural that we just have an opinion on things. But I think you also have to have the discernment to know when you should back up and when you should allow the real ones to get their thing off and when you need to step in. Because a lot of times when you step into something that you're not actually in, nor are you qualified to be like a part of the conversation, you actually are like you're actually doing a disservice as opposed to a service. Um, and I have respect for Dante because I don't want this to come off shitty at all. I have respect for Dante and what he does, but respectfully, there's people on this chat right now. They're journalists. They're writers. That's what they do. We don't speak up when it's a problem with playlisting, with genres, with programming. We try to stay out of that. If we need to cover something with it, understandable. That's not our that's not our world. I respect Elsie and what she does. I'm glad she got her Russ interview. I am.
I'm
Because
not. Fuck that
when you're
shit. What are you talking? I'm sorry.
because Shamira, no, here's what I'm saying, Shamira. Here's what I'm saying, right? It's very clear to her it's not about the ethics. Because if it was, then she wouldn't have accepted the interview. Because realistically, I mean, I'm sure you could find something to talk to Russ about, but in that moment, you're not even having the discernment to look at how this opportunity comes off. You don't even have that discernment. So, in a sense, I have to be proud for her because she doesn't know it yet. She's not at the place that we're all at where we can see, like, nah, this ain't, it's not going to benefit nothing. So for her, this is going to be helpful because if they do talk about this or just talk about anything just based off of what happened, it's going to build her platform. And that's clearly what she wants. It's self serving, it's not right. And it definitely doesn't help with building an alliance with journalists. And I'm already confused because I don't know if she wants to be a journalist or not.
Well, I looked through some tweets because I do research because I'm a journalist, and I seen her declare that she is not a journalist, nor a critic, nor a reviewer. She's just a girl who loves music. But I'll mute now.
So she should have kept that opinion to me, myself, and I, because Lord knows I didn't give a fuck what she had to say about that shit. Like, that's just reality, right? I don't know why she was talking about her personal experience. I don't know why she was talking about production costs. I don't know why she was talking about anything that had zero to do with journalism in response to that conversation. I'm not gonna lie, it's actually that stuff that got me way more heated than Russ's comments. Like, it was the fact that people were piping up to attack Najma, which, full disclosure, is a friend who I love dearly, right? But like to talk crazy when you're fully admitting that you just don't engage in journalism, whether you did previously or not, you're clearly exposing how little you know about the topic, right? Because in what world do you think production costs is actually reasonable, right? Because guess what? When I watch a documentary and write about a documentary, I have to know if the subject has producing credits because it still the quality or accuracy of that documentary when I write and critique and review it, right? Because that shows that that person has way too much control over the public narrative that is being constructed in the film that we are watching for me to trust it as an unbiased source of information. So why would you, in your right mind, think you're talking about journalism and talking about production costs and media covering it, and that sounds reasonable, right? Like, put two and two together and tell me how you came up with 55.
I mean, the thing is, and Keish did her research earlier, so she enlightened me.
Mm-hmm.
She's only been doing this for 2 years. And by
Two.
this, I mean she's only been doing the social media, the TikTok content that she's been doing. She's only been doing it for 2 years. So I offer grace in the sense that you are still novice in that. I do offer grace in that. I think for me, it's like you said, offering your experience in something that you're not experienced in. And like I told my Keisha, it would have been really dope to just see her kind of like, because I've never seen any journalist disrespect her. I've never seen any journalist, because this isn't the first time her name has popped up in conversations about hip hop journalism. Which is why I said I was confused on how she even identifies, because it's like 1 minute she'll say she's not a journalist, don't identify with that. But every time somebody on Twitter who don't know what a journalist is calls her a journalist and says you're doing great, she says thank you. So I don't know which way to take it, because in my head, I'm like, are you only wanting the benefits of being considered a journalist, or do you just not want to do the work of it? And like I said earlier, I kind of started off like Elsie. I just only had Twitter. I didn't have TikTok. But at some point, it's like if you want to be a part of the craft, you got to respect it and the people and the code and ethics that are in it. And I
Or
mean,
even just like the market of it, right? Because like the reality
that's
is
true.
when you're prepping for an interview, right? Like on camera interview, good for you, congrats, two thumbs up, whatever, right? Like you prepping for that. What are you doing? You're not just listening to the music 10 times, right? You are looking at articles to see what has been said historically about an artist to
Or you
build
on
a
chat
narrative and a story that you can engage with that person on, right? So why are you validating something that actually invalidates the work that you need access to do the work that you do? That's crazy to me, right? That is a lack of intellectual capacity to me. That's a lack of critical thinking to me, right? That shows me that in 2 years, you haven't connected basic dots around how the market of this system works. Like, that's just reality, right? And I'm not saying that to disrespect anybody, but I am saying that if it takes you 2 years to not make those connections, I question what you're trying to advance towards, right? Because if I say just straight up, I think you're doing some of this shit for clout, I sound like a dickhead, right? But why are you actually doing this, right? Why are you actually invalidating the work of the people who help support the work that you do, whether or not you realize it?
I
That's that
mean,
chat GPT.
I mean, why are you interviewing Russ? What the fuck are y'all gonna talk about? Like,
Two
have
people
you?
up there who are not journalists telling each other exactly. Literally.
Henny, you
Like,
made
that's
it.
literally what it is.
Wait, where Henny at? Henny just came up here.
Hey, sorry, I'm
Uh,
on. I'm like taking a little break at work. I had to sneak away. It's mad busy.
Henny, what is going on, child?
I feel like I came in at the right time because this is kind of like exactly what I wanted to talk about. Because I like people clocked it a little bit, but I do have a little bit of a beef with the person being talked about at the moment because of like that shisty ass energy that she seems to have around this. Because it's like, oh, she dug up a tweet from like what 2 years ago, a year ago. I'm not a journalist. I'm not. I'm just a person that loves music. Blah 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 blah. But she does say thank you when people call her a journalist, and I have an issue with that because she's proven herself to be as someone that like she talks about music as just a consumer. And because of the way she's been in my comments, which I posted a screenshot of, she's also proven herself to be like she operates in the way a consumer does, where they can't take any sort of like cultural piece. They don't know what to do with it. Like if you talk about something cultural in the way that I did, there was a viral conversation around Tyler the Creator making music for white people, and I was like, I feel like this is oversimplified. So I came with a researched response, and I analyzed it through like a lens that included race, class, like him being a child of two immigrant parents, and I came at it from that angle, and I also brought in his contemporaries in the industry, and for her to be like word salad and being like whole anti-intellectual tells me that she hasn't grown from that stance. So it to me it is like, what the fuck else are you doing in this whole with this whole platform other than like getting the clout of sitting in front of your faves?
And that's why I'm offering her grace, guys. Like, I know it sounds rough because we know what we go through, but she's only 2 years in this thing. Now, granted, I also feel the way y'all feel, but I'm offering grace because she's only 2 years in. She got her start on TikTok. We already know she's not the only person on TikTok doing that type of content. You can literally scroll on TikTok and there's tons of people. They do the whole new artist you should check out. Oh, did you know that like Erica Badu released this album in 2001? Like everybody is doing that type of content on TikTok. So I'm not mad at her for building a following off of that. But and this like nah, I don't think we're coming off as a bully. I'm just gonna say that out here. I don't think we're coming off as a bully because what happened to Najma, that's bullying. What we all had to deal with this weekend was bullying.
What we went through with the veterans when we first came out as digital and culture writers, that was bullying. And that's
Her
also why I'm trying to offer grace.
accepting an interview with Russ in the middle of everything we got going on. Nah, that's bullying to me. Cause now you just rubbing this shit in our face.
Yeah, and that's why, I mean, given all the research I did to see, how far she's come and what all she's been doing. I even watched a Schoolboy Q interview today. I did my research today, y'all. I had to find out what was going on because I just couldn't fathom that someone who does not identify as a journalist would stick their neck out and validate his points and explain all their numbers and how they're able to do their show full time with no other job while we're all out here getting laid off and fighting for scraps because there's a million freelancers with 75,000 fucking newsletters. So I just was trying to figure out how she formed these opinions where she could write extended clipped tweets about what journalists should be doing because she had to do those things. Well, I guess you do have to do those things because you don't have any bylines. Because I looked, because I wanted to know if somebody had ever put pen to paper and I could not find it. So the ability to sit down and chat GPT a framework to ask people questions doesn't require any skill. And that chat GPT session is doing nothing but pulling from all the writers who are up here.
Well, I don't want to run with that claim because I don't know
I'll
I
say
really
this.
don't know
I think
much
it's
about the
weird
girl.
to.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Like, I really don't. I know her TikTok stuff. I know the YouTube stuff, but because there's so many people doing what she's doing on TikTok, it just depends on who's getting the following and who's getting like the visibility. It's kind of hard for me to even really figure out who's doing what and who's, because I feel like if you go on TikTok, she's just one of the many. What's the other girl, Annabelle? Um, the young lady that was on the panel for the hip hop things, and then they canceled the panel because it wasn't no
Because there
black
was no
people on
black.
there. Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
Little
mad
Miss
people.
saved the last playlist.
Um, y'all, y'all so quick
All
with
right.
it. I hate y'all. Why y'all like this?
I do
Um,
want to hear more about what Henny has to say about that, though, because that is like in technicality, that's a peer. And I do think, like, in defining the content creation role in this, I think Henny has a lot to offer in that insight. Potentially, I don't know what Henny's comfort level or timing. The Wild
I
Thing just
don't
came
wanna.
out.
The only reason I don't want to do it is because I really don't know the girl. Like, I
No, I
really
feel
don't.
you.
Yeah, and so I'm just like, I ain't even finna cross that territory because I don't even know what she really like. It's different with us. We know what we do because we all do it. But like, I don't know what's her process of how she do shit. And like,
I mean, Kia, not to cut you off, but you just got me thinking about this whole thing. It's like for where we're at now in the culture, we're at a really weird space where, like, I think someone just said it. We're all like fighting so hard just to be able to get our bylines published. So where content creation comes in is indeed very ambiguous, but at the same time, it's kind of like it can't for them. It can't go both ways. You can't be over here doing these well researched, apparently well researched videos and then, like you said, like people are tweeting you like, "Oh yeah, good job on your journalism." And you're like, "Thank you." Oh, but when it's convenient, oh, I'm not a journalist. It's like to me, it's the new "I'm not a rapper." You know what I'm saying? Like when everybody starts coming out in the
I
mid
was gonna
2000s,
say
like,
that earlier. Oh my God.
like come
Yep.
on.
Yes. My bad. Sorry, I had to say
No, because they
that.
want the reality is like the accolades of journalism without the actual labor of journalism is just really cheap and lazy, and it will show up eventually, right? Because even the conversation validating how artists relate to people, they don't know how to have that conversation either, right? So to give an example, like just to talk about how artists only look at things or platforms for massive advancement or look at audiences, I don't know if you guys know who Aya Nakamura is. She's a French singer, pop singer. Some of you might know her song Jaja. It doesn't really matter, right? She has a huge following. She sang at the Olympics, right? Like literally every song she puts out, 300 million views on YouTube, regular. Not anything like it's like that regular for her, right? You can look up all her stats. They run it up in Europe and the continent like crazy, right? I was the first person to review her in major American music press, right? To give context about what made her important, what made her relevant, what she's actually talking about in the songs that are catchy as hell, but not everybody speaks French, and give that context. She didn't need that to get more views. She's the biggest artist in France, right? But her team is appreciative of that because that's exposing her to a new market, right? That is not something that only her fans are going to read. Her fans read French, they do not read Pitchfork, right? But it gives her exposure to a new space that I had to advocate like crazy for to be the first person to review a massive album, right? There's different things that different artists want to do for different reasons, right? Some of it is I only want to speak to my fans. Congrats, go on your Instagram, right? Some of it is I want to make sure that my album sells. Congrats, go do that. I want that for you, right? But some of it is for us being able to contextualize an actual moment. I think that's what's blowing me about this conversation. People think that we're only here to explain what artists do or explain what's hot. And it's like, no, I'm sorry. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when people ask what was going on now, right? You're not only just going to look at viral TikToks. It's just not going to work that way, right? And the fact that our destruction of our digital archives exists right now, where it's actually very hard if you don't have access to look at anything before 2015, is why people argue about artists by using chart numbers, right? Because what the fuck do I look like talking about Ashanti's relevance in 2003 by stats when I lived through that shit and know how huge she was? It's a crazy conversation to me, right? And so to act like there's no value for writers outside of what can get viral, what can get clicks is insane to me because you're literally not thinking about 20 years from now when somebody asks, why was Pop Smoke relevant? Why was, I don't know, a Biggest the Plug relevant? Whoever you want to ask about who's relevant, right? And what are you going to do? Look up viral tweets? Twitter's not going to exist for 15 years. It's just not, right? This is may not make it to 2026. So I don't know why people are pretending that this doesn't matter. And then 20 years from now, when some white person at Duke is going to be the one to break down what this is, they're going to be all heated over it. For what, right? Like, it's actually really insane to like really think through what people are implying about journalism being something as a vehicle for artists and not a public good, to literally help historians do their work, help us preserve our archives, help people be able to look back and talk about this accurately and with context, and continue to preserve Black cultural legacies. Because that's what I'm interested in doing, right? Literally document, canonize, contextualize, and analyze Black cultural legacies. And that is something that requires real practice, a real study. I've been doing this shit for over 10 years. I don't think I'm actually where I want to be yet, like with regards to my craft and how I want to work. And so watching people devalue that because they think because of digital media that it is something that is democratized and easy access. No, we're allowed to check you and say that's just not the work we're doing here, right? If you want to step to it, I'm not going to say you have to go to J school to be a journalist, but I am going to say you're going to have to go through your P's and Q's to be a journalist. That's reality.
Facts.
Facts.
And I love that you brought up Duke University because there is definitely somebody right now writing a scholarly article on all of this, and they go to either Columbia, Yale, etc. So that was funny.
Like, I'm not gonna hold you. I've done several classes in the last year, several lectures that come down to postgraduate students wanting to learn how to become public intellectuals and talk about cultural criticism in the public sphere, right? So for everybody who's talking about how it's so easy and this is all you do, a lot of people are fighting to learn how to do it because they view writing as a vehicle to be able to document and have a platform, right? So if it's so relevant, why are people paying me to learn how to do that shit? Like, answer that question for me.
You know who
Bro,
we
I
don't
think
blame enough? The industry. Because when we can't critique people the way we truly want, because you know how editors move, you know? Like when I wrote about Beyonce, it was such a disaster on here. And then no, and it scares people away to like properly write anything nowadays. Like I think people are so pressed to maintain even like very superficial relationships so that they can continue to profile artists and work with them. And there is a conversation to be had about journalists kind of gaining some clout and then playing this content creator influencer game and just removing all integrity from all the work that they're doing so that they can avoid a pile on or avoid being seen as difficult, especially with Black writers. Like I think that we don't get to go in the way that we actually want to.
I want
Can I ask
to.
you guys, do you feel like there's a way to essentially balance or walk the line between journalists, well, with integrity, and content creator?
I was actually about to speak on
Yeah,
that because
I was about to. We did that with pussy rap and all of that.
Sure did.
Tatiana, that's what I was trying to say when Rest kept trying to tell me that, oh well, you're being whiny because you're telling me that you don't have to create content, or a journalist you don't want to. And I'm like, stink, but I've been there, done that. We had a platform where we invited artists on to have one-on-one conversations with them, and we contextualized what was happening in female rap when it comes to people talking about their sexual prowess, and when it comes to talking about the other side of the spectrum, which was more quote unquote conscious rappers, the chicas, the Rhapsodies. We had those conversations. And what was it? Four Black women journalists up there contextualizing those conversations and doing those interviews. Like there's no problem. What we're saying is not that you can't be a journalist and be a content creator. You cannot solely be a content creator and say you're a journalist.
That's a fact. Like, and the things we
Mm.
did with like pussy rap, like it was at that time too. Again, that's when it was the pandemic or the bandemic, if you was getting money. Um, Clubhouse was really popular. So a lot of people remember when Clubhouse was Soho House, but digital. What a time. Um, what a time. Remember, you got a passcode, you can say you got latency. Nah, nigga, I ain't got one for you, my boy. I ain't got one for
Soho
you.
House is
I ain't got one
crazy.
for you, my boy. I ain't got one for you. But yeah, like, when Clubhouse was, going through its state, that was the time to be alive. And it was Markeisha's idea. It was something that she wanted to do. It's something that she's passionate about. One of my favorite pieces by Markeisha is a piece that she wrote about how strippers are the original A&Rs, and how like a lot of rappers, they'll go to a strip club and they'll play their records no matter what the record is, because if the strippers are dancing to it or the girls are dancing to it or they fucking with it, then more than likely, the masses will like it. And Keisha was really passionate about it.
she got it started. I was actually the last member to come along. She had already had Laja, and she had already had Robin Mowat. Robin, if you know, from OK Player Now, Essence, written for Vogue, other places. She already had them a part of it. And so she brought me on because, like I said, back in like 2016, 2017, 2018, I was doing this thing called deconstructing, where I was breaking down albums. Literally, I was like baby Elsie. That's why I be feeling like a little like Grace, because I was that. Um, and my Keisha saw something in me. And I think it was also, not only did I exhibit that I had the knowledge, but I also was eager to learn from actual journalists. I wasn't a journalist yet, but I knew that was something that I aspired towards. And sometimes there's a lot of things you don't learn in journalism school that you can only learn from being in the field. And by having people like a Shamira or a Mykesha, or as I got into OK Player, a Demas or an Elijah or a Robin, to have, or a Zoe, to have these type of people there to kind of guide me and help me figure it out, that's the part that makes you who you are and really helps you determine who you want to be. Because when I first really entered the industry, I had bylines, but I was actually a social media manager. And I remember like kind of being annoyed because I wanted to write. And Demas said, because Demas, my former editor, he comes from a newsroom background. And I'll never forget, he said to me, Kia, in order for you to become a great writer, you have to learn the fundamentals of everything. So you have to learn, how to come up with a good byline that's concise and gets to the point, but, isn't like real, like, clout chasing. You have to learn the formula. And I feel like being a social media manager will help you. And he was right. It taught me so much about the fundamentals that go into marketing, but also the fundamentals that go into just being a writer. And I don't think people understand how much effort it takes to write, let alone do interviews. A lot of people, especially if it's a big interview, they have to prep themselves. They have to actually do the research. Like Shamir was saying with the archives, they really got to go back and do the research. And not only do the research, because it's easy to type in an artist's name or what year an interview came out, or, whatever, and take from that. But to be able to read a profile from Rolling Stone in, I don't know, 2014, excuse me, and then read maybe an article from like Vibe in like, I don't know, 2008, and to be able to take both and contextualize it in 2024 for that artist. Like Maya did this excellent thing in her interview with Usher for the cover of Vibe a couple months, like last year. um and she asked him about love, but the way she asked him about it was in the context of, how has your definition of love changed through your music? Because as your music has changed, so has your relationships. She referenced Here I Stand and him and Tamika, and how you can just hear an evolution of someone's identity and relationship with love through their music. And the way she asked it in the flow of the conversation, it's shit like that that makes you a journalist. So for me, I feel like it's, if you have the bandwidth to be a content creator for your work, by all means do that shit, because it is going to amplify, it is going to put more eyes on it. But if you don't have the bandwidth for that, or you just don't want to do it, you don't have to, because none of the requirements, code, or ethics states that we have to promote our work. It's probably bro, Yo Phillips is one of the most known writers in the writer community, and that nigga don't even be on Twitter like that. Yo just had a whole documentary come out about Little Brother, and the nigga don't even be on Twitter.
Man, niggas don't even know what yo looks like.
Bro,
They don't
he's
know his real
bro.
name.
And he been
The
doing this for
joke
a minute.
amongst us is that he's a mysterious figure, and when you do meet him, you get good luck. Like, that's how much of a myth he is in our community. Of like, yo, if you actually meet yo, you are blessed
They
No,
because
said that nigga was white at one point.
we didn't know what yo was. We like, like he's just a myth. Like, but it's things like that that is just like, for the Elsies out there, the Annabelles out there, don't disregard us. Don't push us to the side for that opportunity, because there's so much jewels that you can learn. I know everybody likes to drop gems, but there really are jewels that you can pick up from these journalists that you claim no one reads or no one cares about. I know, because I did. So yeah, that's my opinion on the whole content creation.
I wanted to know, I had a question for you guys too, because this made me think about something that, and I feel like she's someone else who's not that much on social media, but she gets, these impactful interviews. Nadeska is always kind of speaking out about, not really seeing the value and kind of like devaluing content creators, but also understanding that what they do is not journalism sometimes. So yeah, I just wanted to know y'all thoughts on that because Nadeska was really kind of outspoken on it. I think earlier back in the year when like Elliot Wilson and Cass and I were like going back and forth.
Nadeska had a really good conversation recently that I saw clipped, where she kind of was calling out MTV for getting
Yes.
rid of the MTV News archives. And for those of you guys who were not like part of the MTV News digital heyday, some of the biggest heavy hitters were cutting their teeth at MTV News, from Nadeska to
Yep.
Doreen St. Felix to some of the people that you know today as like the top of the top, were the ones who were creating criticism over there, for like really impactful stuff. And so I think she does a good job of embracing, sure, the shift that, doing more digital stuff, exploring that, exploring more video stuff, but also respecting the trenches that she came from and the foundations of what built her, right? Like, I'm never going to respect anyone for pivoting. The money is tight out here, baby, right? Do what you got to do. I'm saying that seriously, right? Like,
Hello.
if
I'm a
if you go
walking.
do the panels, do it, right? Like, I've been doing a lot of stuff in academia that I did not expect, but like, that's just reality. You do what you got to do. Also, as someone who, like, if you want to hold yourself to a certain standard of writing, like, sometimes the work that is available is not compelling, it's not interesting, and that's reality. So I'm never gonna knock that. I think what Nadeska played
And
out.
sometimes it doesn't just pay, like it doesn't pay at all. Like and it's not worth your time. Like it's just so boring. It's like just like grunt work and no one wants to do that. No one's gonna read it anyway. Like that's the other part about all this. Like a handful of people will be reading it.
Right. But like, at the end of the day, like, I don't think it's a bad thing that, like, if content creators do the stuff they do, like, for example, I've been tagged several times on TikTok, right, for just content creators analyzing artists, analyzing something, analyzing a cultural moment, and referencing my work, right, and citing it and tagging, somebody tagging me in the comments. I think that's fine. I think that's actually great, even, right? Like, cool, right? You're doing the work, you're showing the practice behind the work you're doing, and you're amplifying the foundation that helps you do the work you do, and that hopefully gives the journalist a little moment too, right? Because, like, that is real. Like, a lot of us, like, we're on the bylines. We're not going to get the glory of the moment, depending on who you are, right? But I think what frustrates me is we could make this symbiotic, right? Like, Kia has worked on digital rollouts. Like, I have worked with Kia personally on stories, right? And like, the reality is, when you build out major features, major stories, there are digital components, there are video components. That's not shit that I want to do. I'm gonna be honest. Whenever a team has asked me, "Oh, you're interviewing, the artist really loved you. Do you want to go on camera and have a?" I've said no every single time. I don't care to do it, right? It's just not my bag, right? I'm not so, like, I can see a world where if we want to bring content creators directly into that apparatus, people with platforms, with followings, you work on the cover story, the quote unquote digital talent, the content creator talent helps build out that digital part of the story to get the engagement. There's so many ways we can think more dynamically about actually working in tandem to build something compelling, to build a compelling story that actually looks at all of our different assets and what we have to offer, instead of actually feeding into the churn that's creating the problem we have now, where it's a race to the bottom and everybody is fighting for scraps, right? But
Yeah.
we're not doing that. People are not thinking smart. People are not thinking big. People are not thinking with compassion, empathy, ambition, creativity, curiosity. We could come up with any level of words about this, right? But it's actually just whack. And that's why I get frustrated. And that's why I'm sounding critical, because I have championed plenty of people who came out of the content creator space. There's people who I see here as content creators right now who I think would be brilliant in the writing space. Henny is one of them. I've said that to them directly before, right? But it's like, at some point, if we're all figuring out our lanes and having specificity about our lanes, we can figure out how to make that pipeline be greater than the sum of its parts, instead of doing this infighting because you want the credibility or the name association of one thing and completely want to distance yourself from the rest of it. It's lazy, disingenuous, it's tired,
Yeah.
and I think it's perfectly fine if any artist wants to be mad about it.
Yes, I think who does a great example of it, and then I'll shut up. I don't know if anyone follows Story Mode Bay. I've had the pleasure of working with her a few times, but she actually started off on Twitch. She's a gamer. She's a video game girl, but she also loves music, and the way she is able to kind of intersect her love for music and gaming and still, respect the world of journalism, I think is a beautiful blend. So I just think it's important to also shout out the ones that are doing it tastefully and not coming off as they're exploiting.
I think The whole thing, it really boils down to, because like I know Steven was like yelling out Dante's name, but um I think what it really all boils down to is that everybody just wants to be respected in what they do, because none of us really know what the other person do. To be honest with you, I know what Yan does as far as she does programming at Pandora, but I don't know her day to day. I could never know what her day to day is until I lived her day to day. I know Milan is a DJ, a producer, but I don't know what Milan's day to day is. Especially with her being on tour right now, I don't know what that is like unless I'm in her shoes. So I think for the journalism community, we know the struggles that we're already dealing in our community. And we also understand that there's a lack of media literacy. We understand that there's a lack of just basic education. They came out a couple days ago and said the kids not even read no more. So we clearly know that there's also a fundamental educational problem in this country, which you might not think the two are connected, but they definitely are. I feel like as journalists, and I don't want nobody to take it the wrong way, which is why I said each time I personally spoke about, like, because I know how Stephen feels, but with Dante and Elisa and just other people, we respect what you do 100%. We respect what you bring to your field. But all we ask is the same respect back. It constantly feels like journalists are at the totem pole of what media is considered to be, yet everybody, in some way, shape, or form, comes back to us. There's journalists in the film world that you don't know about. Why? Because they're the ones writing the scripts. They're the ones that are the copywriters. They're the ones there. There's writers in the music industry. They're the publicists. They're the A&Rs. They're there. They're everywhere. So I think if everybody want to do their thing, I respect what everybody do, because when we all do our thing to our fullest ability, we all thrive. But when y'all sit here and make slick comments and think we're not going to say anything, when you sit here and think you could talk about us and our craft and our field any kind of way and we're not going to say anything, this is what happens. And I think it's a shock to people because they've never seen this many journalists in one space defending each other, which is why I think this moment is so dope. Because I can't remember a time where it was all of us from different, some of us write about hip hop, some of us write about culture, some of us write about identity, some of us do interviews, profiles, whatever. It's a mixed bag in here and we're all together vouching and defending each other. I think that shit is so fire and so dope. So I know, like, we gotta wrap up soon because we
Yeah.
don't want to go too over the limit. But
I'll just say one quick thing here, and
yeah,
then
go ahead,
after
go
that
ahead,
wrap
baby.
up.
Go ahead.
But I think one really striking thing that has stuck me for the last 24 hours that really talks about how what actually is the consequence of this limitation. My bad, I'm like stuffy as hell. But is ultimately, we could talk about the artist, we could talk about the work, but if you want to stick to music, right? Like you said, Kier, earlier, Diddy was the biggest story this year, reported by the New York Times and the Rolling Stone for the actual investigation. Cassie specifically went to the New York Times music department to her team because they knew they would protect the story, tell it accurately, which has dictated the last year of conversation around what has happened, right? That matters, that framing, who introduces the conversation and how it happens. What has happened the last couple months, right? Viral stories that were clearly misinformation, that were clearly inaccurate, that were clearly conspiracy around Kim Porter's family have gone viral. And if people had respected journalism as a practice, the first step would have been to check the primary sources, to check where the hell this is coming from, to check if there's any credibility, to go on Amazon and even just do a basic cross referencing that would have nipped it in the bud immediately. Under 24 hours, she'd have been dead, right? Instead, we had a week of Kim's children being tortured over conspiracies, over something that was clearly fake, clearly not true, right? And the reason why that's unable to happen right now is because of this lack of boundaries, right? I'm never gonna say that people shouldn't do that video work, like we've all been saying, but I am gonna say that when you do irresponsible shit, that if I did it, I will get fired. You are blowing me trying to talk like we're in the same conversation.
Quest, I want to be like honest with you because I understand you feel like we tore down Elise. That's what I'm assuming you're referring to. I don't think we tore her down, to be honest with you. I don't even think I know. First of all, I don't even say need to say think. I know we didn't tear her down. Her following is bigger than probably most of us that are in the journalism world. We can't tear her down in her following and what she's doing. What we are doing is the same way she wants to express her experiences. we're expressing ours. And the same way she wanted to express her point of view on things, we're expressing ours. You have, like, you got to understand everybody's perspective. We are journalists. That's what we do. That's what we identify as. So we're going to address that. I understand you might not like the way we have addressed it. You might not like what we have said, and that's okay. And I respect your opinion on that. But we do our form of journalism, and this is us defending ourselves. I think a lot of these journalists have been dragged through the mud this weekend, especially Najma. And I think it's only right that if everybody else get a chance to defend themselves and stand up for themselves and say what they want, that we as journalists also get that right. First Amendment, freedom of speech. But I respect your opinion. I respect where you're coming from. Again, I'm offering the young woman grace. I am. I understand what it's like to be new into this shit. And I understand what it's like to want an opportunity and to grab it and take it. I used to do that shit. I said multiple times on this thing, I used to be Elise. I did. And I was chasing the interviews too. I was chasing the press too. I was chasing all of that. And then you get burnt out and realize that what you was doing, it don't even mean nothing. And what we're trying to do is to help avoid that. We're trying to bridge a gap. If you want to create content, that's cool. We could be your alliance. We could be here for you. That's all we're saying. We could be here for you. Just don't diss us. Don't disrespect us. I don't know if he's still in here or not, but I think he did.
He's up here on the stage. I think
Oh
one of
yeah,
y'all
I
brought
brought
him
him
up.
up because
He's
I
amazing.
want to, like, I ain't scared nothing, like, not in that kind of way, but like I just want to like address you personally. I don't, because I don't want you feeling like we tearing her down, because that ain't this at all. But also everybody else has been able to speak what they wanted to say about journalists. I've seen people say the worst of the worst this weekend about basic shit that we're saying about our field that we actually work in. So I feel like we have all rights to say what we have to say and what we feel and what we know. But like I said, I respect it if you don't see it that way. Like, that's cool with me.
Hello, everybody. Um, yeah, no. So like, I've been in this space for a cool little hour. Some points I agreed with, some things I don't. When it comes to the whole rush shit, I really think it was just a matter of defining like what certain journalism is versus photojournalism, versus video journalism, or just traditional like pen to paper. Me myself, like I had talked to the man. Like I didn't expect to talk to him, but I talked to him.
We
I
know, we all heard the spaces, love.
All right, cool. Yeah, so I usually don't like go out of my way to read like traditional journalism, but I will sit down and either listen to something like a podcast, or just anything talking about music, or say there's a video, I'll go watch a video. And so I feel like there are certain journalists who aren't, established with a publishing or any type of company like Complex or just Rolling Stones or anything like that, who like music or just like doing journalism or covering stories. They just do it in their own fashion. And because like they're trying to get their work out in front of people, they create a platform, or people just fall in tune with what they're doing. But I do understand, like, if you're not a journalist, don't say you're a journalist and basically, shit on you. I understand that. It's the same way of like being a musician type shit. Um, but yeah, nah, it was really like the things that I was hearing, like, man, she really not here, and it's like y'all crazy, going crazy for about 20 minutes, and I'm like, man, I don't know about this is
Can you
kind of
point out
turning me
what was
off a little
said
bit.
so that way maybe we can understand maybe where we went wrong? Because we're pretty objective here.
Right. No, so it was basically like talking for this young woman for like 20 minutes on she's not this, she's not that, why is she doing this, why is she doing that. And it's like, that's her decision, like, that's crazy. But I forgot what I was gonna say. I had lost my.
Okay, all right. Well, I think it's also our decision to voice how we feel about our field when we actually consider ourselves and are what we are. Um, and I don't, no one up here, and even when it was starting to get a little like, that was clearly put to a stop. So
You know, like I said, I respect your point of view. And I respect what you were going to say or have said, but with all due respect, like I think we've been pretty fair.
Hello?
Hey, BB, how are you?
Hi. I wanted to jump in. I'm a newbie. When is the point, like, when is it truly established that you're a music journalist? Because I heard a lot of P's and Q's. I got my notepad out, and a lot of the women in this room are definitely people I look up to. So, unlike the people you spoke of, I want to learn from you guys how to be better. Because I came from the curator aspect, and I just want to learn more.
All right, yo, just tap in with us. I mean, follow, everybody that you connect with. Like, ain't nobody up here stuck up. I don't know why people think like journalism.
I'm not gonna hold you. It gave Mean Girl vibes. Not going to sugarcoat it, cause
How does it give
it's
me girl
like
vibes?
it gave Mean Girl vibes because it's like, oh, don't say you're a music journalist if you're not a music journalist. I'm gonna keep it a stack. I don't got no bylines. I don't know how to get them.
I, I want to jump in real quick because I'm not. Well, hey, I'm a dude, but be like, I'm somebody that follows all these people's work, and so I'm speaking to this from like a third person point of view. I know exactly what you're talking about, not in the mean girl stuff, but I was outside the industry at one point. Like that's a whole other room. But basically, I know what it's like to not have bylines and to be like on Twitter every day, just trying to follow people and email people, and then like for years I didn't even get an email back. So I know exactly what you mean. I said it to say though, like the situation, or rather the conversation, the subject matter is like a little bit delicate. But at the end of the day, like what defines any one of the individuals, like from Kia to Makisha, excuse me, isn't so much that like they're part of an exclusive clique or anything. It's this fact that they've just simply done the work. And Kia said something really interesting early on about like our trajectory, how I know her. I remember when Makisha wasn't, excuse me, not Makisha, when Kia wasn't yet active as a journalist, right? But I said to say like from where she started to where she is now over the course of like literally like a few years, maybe like before COVID, maybe like it just went on an upward trajectory, and it came from her like tapping in with people on social media, like she'll tell you, and so like yeah, like it might seem like one kind of way, like everybody's on some kind of pedestal or high horse, but like nobody that's been referenced in this room, or like there are no kind of Hollywood. I can say that in good faith because I followed most of these people for years before I even interacted with them. So I can say in good faith, like none of them are like some cool kid type
Yeah, and
time.
before Steven and Markeisha and Terrell, y'all get your shit off. I just also want to say like because I wanted to tell like a little bit of my journey too. I used to call myself an aspiring journalist, like, and that's not saying you need to call yourself one because I just looked in your bio and you say you've done like double XL and shade room and like interviews and stuff like that.
They've checked my
So
stuff.
who took your stuff, girl?
They've took like a few of my things
Wait,
in the
who took
past.
your
Double
stuff?
XL complex and shade room.
See, this is why you need to get acquainted with us because then we can roll up on niggas. This is why. See, this is why you need us in the corner. But no, like I mean, I used to call myself aspiring, but like I feel like if you want to be a journalist, like if you dead ass like, nah, I want to be a journalist. Call yourself that, walk in the room like that, and put yourself in a position so that you can actually feel like you are that. That's all we're saying. If you want to be back and forth on the fence and say you're not a journalist, but then accept compliments of being a journalist and then want to be involved in conversations about journalism, but you're still not a journalist, that's where the disconnect lies because you can't pick and
Okay.
choose when you want to be a part of us and when you don't. But if you like, yo, I want to lock in this what I want to do. It's a ton of women in here that are in journalism. It's a ton of people up here in general that are in journalism that would love to help out. Girl, you can well, we follow each other anyway. But you
Yeah,
know,
I just want to know how you want to be approached because
just
I know
DM me.
how
Like, look, I'm a hood
artists are
baby.
with
I'm a hood
me.
bitch from North. Just DM me and say, yo, what's up? How you doing? You having a good day? Yeah, I'm all right. What's up? I'm smoking. Like, you good? Like, literally, me and Najma never really talked before the whole Russ thing. But we was talking, and I was like, yo, sis, I just smoked a blunt. Like, what's up? Like, I'm not. We ain't nobody on that type of time. Like, we ain't like that, bro. Like, just hit us up. You could even message us, or even like if you see us tweeting about something, talk to us. Like, we all here as a community. Ain't nobody over here balling like that off of no journalism.
Also, like, there's just
Yeah.
so many things we could do to help you, like in the sense of, people ask me for tips. Like, I've helped walk people through pitch guides of like what stories are, because a lot of what it comes down to, of course, is luck of the draw. Of course, it's people who are looking for specific writers, right? But at the end of the day, like, are you reading the kind of stories that a publication is publishing to say like this is the kind of story I want to say? I'm not speaking to you specifically. I'm speaking generally, right? If you need the emails, I'm always happy to give up an email. Like, who cares about first dot last name at com? Like, we can all do that, right? Like, it's nothing to share an email, right? It's nothing to share a recommendation. When there's times that come around, like 50th, anniversary of hip hop, I've never seen people discover black people faster than editors discover black writers in the 50th anniversary of hip hop. You can't take every single pitch, right? For the shit I didn't take, I would recommend other writers, right? From advanced writers to younger writers who I thought who would be good at that conversation, right? Some of the people are some of like the greatest writers you would think of now. Like, I remember Makaper, who everyone knows, brilliant music writer at Rolling Stone, right? I couldn't do a review at Mike when Mike was like doing a lot of culture stuff, and I should have recommended her. She reached out to me and said, "Thank you. People are giving me looks." She didn't have a ton of bylines then. She was just moving into writing. Like, that's how we all do, right? So, like, the end of the day, what I will say is, if you want to build this community, reach out to us. We're always trying to help people because we know how hard it is to do it without a mentor, right? And we don't want that to happen to other people. We want you to not have to fight to figure out the steps that we had to figure out blind, right? I don't think that's anything that anybody in this room would actually say that's what are looking for. Like, that would be antithetical to my entire politic. But it's just more so that if you want to go through that process, then we'll help you go through that process. If you want to do something else, then do something else. But you can't do something else and then tell us about what that process is when you don't know what that experience is like for real. And I think that's ultimately the frustration point, right? Is a lot of people have a lot of opinions about the written word, haven't done that practice themselves, don't know what it's like to value that over valuing a cushy career and actually having a desire to tell these stories. But if you have a desire to tell these stories, I'm always encouraging anybody to do that in whatever space works for them.
Big facts. Um, well, I'm gonna let Terrell go, and then because I want to finish off with the journalist girlies before we wrap it up. So Terrell, and then Steven, and then Mykesha, and then we'll do final thoughts.
Well, first of all, I wanted to say hello to everybody. Um, I wanted to again step for Elsie just in a little moment because I am in community with her. I believe her heart is in the right place as far as the music stuff, and I wish she was a part of this conversation because I do believe she would have taken it well, and I believe she would have been open to learning in that moment. But that can be work done in due time. I want to speak and apologize due to I yesterday had an opinion about the whole ordeal, and it took me going to sleep and waking up to realize before I got on spaces with my boys today that I am not educated enough to have this an opinion on it. I'm not educated. I don't know. And I need to look at people who do know first before I speak. And I spoke first. And for that, I want to apologize to everyone in this room that is a journalist and that does that work. Because sitting here and hearing the passion and the things that Black journalists go to, Black women specifically, I now understand all of the backlash that Rush received. And I understand that speaking in generalizations about a long lasting craft was never going to be received well. So I just wanted to come up here to one, step for my girl for a second, but then also thank you for this amazing space that has really opened my eyes to the music world and the different aspects of this and how every piece matters. So I just wanted to say thank you.
I really love that you added that because I do want to, like, me and Milan, we're not journalists, so a lot of this, I'm sure, speaking for Milan, we're also learning, which is why we're not really saying much. But I think it's so important to give you guys this platform to be able to share these things because essentially, if we're not looking for that knowledge and the understanding, we're just gonna stay in the same position of muddying the line between journalism and content creation, and I think this just does a disservice to the culture. So I'm really appreciative that you came up here to say that, Terrell.
Not for real. And I just respect, like, and that's the thing, because Elsie follows, I think she follows me on Amazon. Because she's actually been in one of our spaces before, and we gave her flowers for what she does. That's another reason why, like, my homie was like, "Y'all really like tearing her apart." No, we haven't. We've had conversations with the girl, like, she was in the space. So, and I offer grace because it's all new for her, and I can understand that. Even when I did watch her interview with Schoolboy Q, I'm like, yo, if a journalist really took her under their wing and like got her, like, gave her the little tools that she need, she could probably do something. You know what I'm saying? Like, she could really, like,
take further off than just social media. And I wish she was here too, because I would have liked to have that conversation with her. I never want to come. Oop, I'm sorry, y'all. I because I saw one person think, like, you know, when you see one person, it say uh trying to what's the name, and then yeah, my fault. But no, like, you know, I like wish she was in here too, because like I would have loved to have the conversation with her and just get her point.
And really quick, Kia, just
Mhm.
really quick, just to chime in, just to let everybody know, this conversation was not directed towards her specifically in this regard. This is towards anybody in that thought
Right.
process. You know what I mean? Like, it's a generalized, not saying anyone was shooting any shots, because we do see some of the comments of people saying, like, you know, we were in here for like 3 hours talking about her. That's not the case. And if you sat here for the time that you sat here and really took that this conversation was only directed towards her, then you missed the entire plot. A lot of journalists, like Jan said, me myself, I'm not a journalist, so that's why I know how to shut the fuck up and let the real ones who are in the field talk. You know what I'm saying? Very demure, very
Mhm.
mindful. That being said,
That part.
this is not a conversation. This is not a space where anybody is bashing anybody. Everyone has the right to say how they feel, regardless of it's an audio or if it's in some text. This is the space that was curated specifically for Kia, because she is a part of, you know, our personal group, and she is a journalist that does face the difficulties that a lot of journalists do face. So she thought, as well as us, was important to educate, not berate, not degrade, but to educate everyone who possibly doesn't
And
know. You know what I'm saying?
I want
So
to be
let's
clear.
just
I would have
let the narrative be killed of us trying to bash anybody or talking about anybody, because
and
that's
I
not the
just want
case
to be
at all.
clear. Had she not did what she did, none of us would be talking about her. Like, y'all do understand we're only mentioning this because she accepted a Russ interview after telling us about the sake of journalism as someone who claims to not be a journalism. I mean, be a journalist. Like, it's not like, oh yeah, we just coming out like, and again, we did not spend this whole time talking about her. She was an example of something that we are all seeing within the industry. So I mean, your decisions also matter too. It ain't no different than when a celebrity does something. If one of us in here did something, niggas would be talking about it. Like, it just is what it is, and that's something she is going to have to learn in that space. You have to be careful about the decisions you make, because people have opinions, let alone journalists, when you're talking about journalism. So, you know, she'll be okay, and I'm open to having that conversation with her, whether it's publicly or privately. um because I do think she's great at what she does. I just think there needs to be more communication on where everybody stands. But I send her nothing but love. Like I said, I used to be Elsie. I can't be mad at somebody that I used to be. The fuck. um but yeah, let's do Steven. Nick, we got my over the pond brother up here.
Yeah, I was like, let's add
Yeah.
Nick because I see him
Over
requesting.
the pond. Wait, I don't have a good London I don't have a good like overseas accent. So Nicholas, you're gonna have to do it for me.
Oh, stop it, man. I just
Oh,
wanted
we
to
lit.
say,
We lit.
thank you for the conversation. Been such a great kind of enlightening take from all of you guys. Some of you, a lot of you actually, I respect. My advice was kind of to BB. I don't know if she's on the stage now, but it was just to kind of say that you don't need to go to the prestigious kind of publications to learn, like the local level. I think Michael made some really great points about his career. Tap into your local kind of newspapers, your local editorials, and just learn the kind of craft of, I think that being in the reporter's room, learning from people in the reporter's room, all the skills that sit outside of, a celebrity interview, a Russ interview, God forbid, but all of those kind of stuff, I think are super important. And I think the Najmas, the Shamiras, the Kias even are super useful to learn from the Stevens. And I see you follow me. You followed me from this chat. We can talk as well from my perspective, because I'm sure London newsrooms work slightly different time zones, all of that. And I'm open to follow you back and like tap in with you as well, because I think we all learn from each other. I've learned from so many of the writers in this room. Some I still speak to this day. Some I consider friends, in this industry, peers. And it's just about asking the questions. It's not about the prestigious bylines. Trust me, we've
They trying to jeopardize my British brother. I ain't really fucking with that. So You notice when the bridge comes.
And literally,
Okay,
but
he back.
BB, yeah, I know you're back on the panel. I know you're back as a speaker, but just wanted to end off on saying if you want to tap in, feel free to tap in. It's not getting the complex editor to give you advice. Is about any type of editor who's in any newsroom, who's dealt with any type of beat, film, local news, politics. Politics are great newsrooms to learn from because they're so adaptive. And what's going on over the pond with you guys right now? Perfect time to learn all of those crisis kind of reporting skills. Yeah, it's super important, and you can learn the skills from any and everywhere. And as Shamira said, it's not about J school. It's about you can learn on the field, on the ground. There are many journalists in this room who have done that. So
Nicholas, I think, yeah, I think it's glitching and breaking up, but we just going because we got to kind of like wrap it up. But yeah, BB, just tap in with all of us that's here. If you want to send one of us a DM, we can all like connect you to who you need to be connected to or want to be connected to. But we all here for you, basically. We all here. Um, Keith, Steven, is it okay if I wrap up? Y'all cool with that if I wrap up, or y'all got pressing things?
Nah, you can. Yeah, I only had something to say about content creation and like all of that. It don't matter.
I'm crying. But no, I really want to thank all of y'all for coming up here and having this conversation with us. Like, I'm proud of it. This is the first time outside of like events and stuff, and even that is like it depends on who's in the room. This is the first time I think it's been like all journal, like we all just up here thugging together. We all from different places, different time zones. We write about different things, but we all came together for one common cause. And I don't care about nothing. I stand 10 toes behind all of y'all, and I'm always here for what y'all need. Um, Thank you to my sister Jean and Milan for offering me and my friends space to talk about something that was pressing to us. Thank you so much to everybody that tapped in with us. This is like the prelude to our podcast. Since we all need platforms, right? Because every
Not you creating more content. I'm kidding. Don't
I
don't drag
am
me. Don't drag me, y'all.
I am creating more content because the girl said journalists need platforms. Um, but no, what I'm doing is not because I'm trying to push my own shit. It's because I love Jan and I love Milan. I love our conversations, and I'm so proud to be in tandem with two sisters that are really doing something in their field. Ain't that funny? In their fields, okay? Um, and I love y'all. I love what we're doing. We're just here to build our community and to really offer what everybody claims is missing, which is like, oh my god, real stuff. But this is bigger than me. This is about me and my sisters really doing something dope together. We do things separately. We all have our careers, but we do this together. And so thank y'all for just even offering me this little chunk of space for me and my friends. And yeah,
Girl, we love
no, I
you.
really appreciate it because I know this did take up a lot, and I know this is really what everybody was like, "Oh, what the fuck?" But like, it was really pressing to me. I try not to let journalism stuff get to me. I literally cried earlier when I was giving all y'all flowers because I try not to let this type of shit get to me. But Milan got a dip. Okay. But yeah, Milan got a dip. She got rehearsals. We love you, sis. Do your thing. But yeah, just follow all of us. Follow Milan. Follow Jan. Follow myself. Follow the Reasonable Dialogue page. It's in all of our bios. We normally don't go this long, but no, we do.
I was about to say last week was
I
like three
lie, we
hours.
do. We literally always go 3 hours, and we always say we won't, and then we always do. We do this shit every fucking time, don't we? Um, but yeah, tap in with us. We really are building our own little network and community. Um, and yeah, like we talk about great shit. But yeah, I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for tapping in with us. Come back again. We do this once a week. We'll never know what day, but
Y'all
we do it
ain't.
once a week.
It might be Friday. It might be Sunday. It might be
You never know. You got
Thursday.
to shake it up and draw it out. um,
But y'all ain't
but
gotta
y'all got
go
to get the hell out
home.
of
But y'all get the fuck
y'all
out
got
of
to get out of our
here.
condo.
Thank
Y'all got to
y'all.
go. Crispy chicken, fresh lettuce, wrapped in a crispy tortilla, crispy chicken. Okay, take me out. Fresh lettuce wrapped in a crispy